and they included, and I quote, this is from the memo itself, from Trump's National Security Presidential Memorandum number 7, quote, anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, extremism on migration, extremism on race, extremism on gender, hostility toward those who hold traditional American views on the family, hostility toward those who hold traditional American views on religion, and our frontline funders, you know, the people who step up when the stakes are highest, it's true. They've just extended the match day that we had yesterday, you know, because the situation for independent media is that dire. So give to Free Speech TV today, and your gift is doubled. You can even get special premiums that you can't find anywhere else, like an autographed copy of The Last American President. And $20 gets you the mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month lets you choose the RAM contribution option, supporting remote area medical's free clinics across the country. $144 or $12 a month gets you my book, The Last American President. $240 gets you the virtual meet and greet where we meet on a Zoom call, off the record. And $1,000 brings you an in-person meet and greet. Come here to Portland, I'll take you out to lunch. And remember, every single one of those donations is matched dollar for dollar today. Now, why did the funders extend the match? Because they see what you and I see, a media landscape collapsing under corporate pressure, dissent getting algorithmically buried, and public interest journalism being suffocated by billionaires who want us distracted, divided, and docile. Free Speech TV is one of the last places still saying the quiet parts out loud. And that only continues if you power it. This is the moment in the pledge drive when we turn the corner, but only if everybody who watches steps forward. So please, if you've been meaning to give, if you've been waiting for the right moment, this is it. Match day is make or break. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate.
The more I think the only minority destroying America is the billionaires. Trans people are 1% of the population. Muslims are 1% of the population. Undocumented people are 1% of the population. We are focused on the wrong 1%. Trans people aren't taking away our health care. Muslims aren't defunding our schools. Immigrants aren't cutting taxes for themselves and their rich friends. It's the billionaires and their puppet politicians. The culture wars are a smokescreen. So many of the divisions in this state and in this country are manufactured by billionaires who want us fighting each other instead of fighting them. They want us looking left and right at our neighbors instead of looking up at them. The biggest divide in our politics is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom. The people at the top, the Elon Musks and the Rupert Murdochs of the world, they work so hard to keep us angry and divided because our unity is a threat to their wealth and their power. So their social media algorithms and their cable news networks tear us apart. They divide us by race, by gender, by culture, by religion. It's the oldest strategy in the world: divide and conquer. They want us to be afraid of immigrant moms and gay kids so that we don't notice that they are abolishing the Department of Education, gutting our health care, and cutting taxes for their donors. They want to keep us from seeing all that we have in common. They want to keep us from realizing that there is far more that unites us than divides us. Because once we do, we will come together across race, across gender, across culture, across religion, to take power back for ourselves and our communities. That's what they're afraid of. That is why Donald Trump is trying to rig the next election. He and his allies in Congress just passed the largest transfer of wealth in American history with their big, beautiful bill.
You just heard it. The forces working to consolidate power are moving fast. And that's why our frontline funders push to extend Match Day, because they know that without independent, people-powered media, the truth gets drowned out entirely. Look, this isn't just a pledge drive. It's a moment for all of us who rely on the network and who need it to remain free from corporate control to hold the line together. When you donate, you become part of the backbone that keeps the entire project standing. And the match means your gift has twice the force behind it. $25 becomes $50, $50 becomes $100, $12 monthly becomes $24 a month for the first 3 months. That's real impact. So if you haven't donated again, or yet, now is the day. Don't wait for someone else to carry this weight. It's all of us together that keep Free Speech TV alive and growing. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate. And let's meet this moment with the strength it demands.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Hey, happy Thursday. Hope you're having a fine morning or afternoon if you're on the East Coast. I guess it's the beginning of the afternoon. We've got a lot to talk about today. Phil Ittner is going to drop by in our second hour. Our one guest for the day is Trump's embrace of Russia, the greatest betrayal in American history. I want to get into that in just a moment. Also, Crackdown Alerts. Meta has shut down global accounts linked to abortion advice and queer content. Why travel to the U.S., particularly from Australia and Europe, seems to be ending. And the administration just published a list of six-page list of banned words for Head Start. Yeah, Head Start, the program for kids. You know? Also, a grandmother sitting in an ICE concentration camp and will be deported when they're done terrorizing her because she bounced a $22 check 10 years ago. She's been here since she was 11, and she is a legal resident. This is outrageous. Also, Phil Ittner, like I said, at the very top of the second hour, and the Fed chair explains that our inflation is coming from Donald Trump's tariffs. Gee, what a surprise. And in the third hour of the program, why Miami is the bellwether of an anti-Trump backlash. Is it shocking for the GOP? I don't know. Yet the Senate GOP is about to vote on a bill and further doom themselves for the midterms and harm Americans. I actually am not certain this is going to happen. I think there's a very real possibility that we actually will get an extension of these Obamacare subsidies. And I'll explain all that in the third hour, because conventional wisdom in all the news is like, oh, the Republicans are screwed and they're shooting themselves in the foot, and the vote today in the Senate and all this stuff. I'm not buying it, but I get it that most other people are, and so I'll lay out both sides of the argument for you in the third hour of the program. But to start out, my daily take today over at HartmannReport.com is titled, "Is Trump's Embrace of Russia the Greatest Betrayal in American History?" Many of us have long suspected and even predicted that Donald Trump would betray America, that he would gut our democracy in favor of a police state, and that he would align us with Russia. The country that, as I mentioned yesterday, the Financial Times reported yesterday, has been sending bombs or trying to send bombs on airplanes to create a crisis for Europe and the United States. Well, it looks like that betrayal is actually here now, and I think this is the most underreported story of the year, perhaps of the century. We are abandoning advocacy of democracy. Trump last week shut down, finally, they're like, turning off the transmitters for Voice of America all around the world. No more advocacy of democracy. At first he put, this wackadoodle woman from Arizona in charge of Voice of America, and that wasn't enough, and now he's just shutting it down. We're abandoning our democratic allies in Europe. Denmark Denmark, for God's sake, just issued their own national security assessment saying that the United States is a threat to them. I mean, this is crazy. And over the past year, Trump has abandoned, Ukraine to the tender mercies of the butcher of Moscow. At the same time, Trump is building ties to Middle Eastern dictatorships. He's openly adopting Russia's explicit worldview. He's trashing civil rights and human rights here at home and around the world, and now handing to China our most valuable military potential technology, having, the NVIDIA chips. Now, a couple of weeks ago, he presented Ukraine with what he called a peace deal that it turned out had been actually written in Moscow. I mean, let that sink in for a minute. A president of the United States talking to a Democratic ally in Europe using a peace deal that was written by Moscow, which is bombing that ally. I mean, this goes way beyond Neville Chamberlain. Neville Chamberlain said, he thought we could work out peace in our time, but he wasn't saying that Great Britain should align itself with Hitler. I mean, this is just crazy. And then earlier this week, Trump told Ukraine that they have until Christmas to take the offer that he and Moscow are offering, or he's just going to walk away. And Europe is seriously pissed off about this. I mean, they are, as I mentioned yesterday, they're trying to figure out how to get around Viktor Orban, and I haven't caught this morning. I didn't see it in the Financial Times or the New York Times this morning. Perhaps it happened. But I believe that today the EU is trying to pull a vote where they're going to get around Viktor Orban so that they can actually provide, some serious aid to Ukraine and go after, and serious sanctions on Russia. But the cherry on the top of this whole thing was this new national security strategy of the United States. The national security strategy is a document that lays out, exactly how we view ourselves, what our role in the world is, and what we're doing going forward. And, well, let me just share the quotes of other people. I'll let them speak for me. And these are credible sources. The National Security Desk, which is an organization, a great Substack newsletter. Quote, they're talking about this national security strategy that Trump just published. It abandons allies, misidentifies threats, emboldens aggressors, erodes deterrence, and even drives allies to consider nuclear proliferation. Alexander Vindman, the now retired lieutenant colonel who was the former director of European Affairs for the United States National Security Council, wrote, quote, the prevailing sentiment among European observers was that this document represented not only the closing chapter of decades worth of cooperation between the United States and Europe, but also that Washington may soon actively sabotage the political and economic systems of the European Union through the promotion of so-called patriotic parties and far-right figures. Amidst an ongoing impasse over a potential peace agreement in Ukraine, representatives of the Russian government claim that the document is, quote, consistent with our vision, end of quote. David Rothkopf was a senior national security and trade official in the Clinton administration. The guy's been around for a while. He published a piece in the New Republic this week. Quote, indeed, the document released by the White House on Thursday reads as if it were dictated by the Kremlin, much as our recent peace proposal for Ukraine turned out to have been. Or perhaps more accurately, it reads like the product of a collaboration between Vladimir Putin and Stephen Miller, the deputy White House chief of staff for nativist hate, end of quote. Olga Lautman publishes a newsletter that she's a Russia expert. It's another Substack newsletter. One that she published earlier this week was titled Russia's Return on Investment for Interfering in the 2016 Election. And then another piece that she published a little earlier in the week was titled America's Foreign Policy Now Aligns with Russia. And she said the national security strategy does not merely shift priorities. It flips 75 years of American policy on its head and declares political war on Europe's democratic institutions while elevating the far-right parties in Europe that Russia has been cultivating for more than a decade. She writes, Trump's team packaged this as a vision for a new transatlantic relationship, but the core message is unmistakable, and that is to weaken NATO, fracture Europe, isolate Ukraine, and empower nationalist movements that are openly friendly to Moscow, with every paragraph carrying the same cold, transactional, subservient logic that has defined Trump's relationship with Russia for decades. And there's Paul Krugman, you know, the former New York Times columnist, Nobel Prize-winning economist. This is not a guy who, you know, sets his hair on fire or who exaggerates things. He published an article this week titled, "Is This the End of the Free World?" Quote, the language, he's talking about the national security strategy, the language is astonishing. Europe, the document warns, faces the stark prospect of civilizational erasure. Why? Because it is more than plausible that within a few decades at the latest, certain NATO members will become majority non-European. He's quoting from the national security strategy. Then he goes to say, he says, I don't know why they bothered with the euphemism non-European. It clearly means non-white. He said, but there's hope, the document declares, thanks to the, quote, growing influence of patriotic European parties, end quote, by which it clearly means parties like Germany's neo-Nazi AfD. Which, by the way, J.D. Vance went over to Germany to stroke. And Elon Musk, is loving. Meanwhile, Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran are working together to destroy Ukraine, the gateway to Europe, and fielding armies of bots to fill social media with pro-Trump and anti-democracy rhetoric. And Elon Musk this week came out and said the European Union itself should be disbanded. He called it abolition. Abolished was the word he used. Abolished. And finally, to the shock of the Western world, Trump cuts this deal with China where he, this is the Chinese government that gave patents and trademarks and, all kinds of, really spiffed the Trump crime family. So now NVIDIA is going to sell their most advanced chips to China so that they can up their military capabilities so they can seize Taiwan even before 2029, which was the assumed date that they would try to do it. And then on top of that, you've got Trump going after Venezuela. I mean, Mark Rudd, the NATO chief, yesterday said the West should, quote, prepare for a war like our grandparents endured, saying conflict is at our door, Russia has brought war back to Europe, and we must be prepared. I mean, when you combine this with the brutality of ICE, Trump's violations of the Constitution, his rhetoric about stealing the election of 2026, his openly taking bribes from foreign governments and autocrats. I mean, this Benedict Arnold couldn't have done better in his wildest dreams. Where's the media on this? Where are the Republicans on this? Why is nobody speaking out except a few Democrats?
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
This is a 5-alarm fire for democracy, both here and around the world. Pass it along and wake up the rest of America. And welcome back. Okay, let's pick up some of your calls here. Dave in Auburn, California. Hey, Dave, what's up?
Hi, Dave, Tom. My thing is branding. Mm-hmm. A couple weeks ago, Donald Trump was with Prince Bandar in Saudi Arabia. I couldn't help but notice that we had Prince Bonesaw and President Bone Spur in one photograph.
That had not occurred to me, Dave. That's a good one. Prince Bones.
And, all they needed was a couple $1 billion of cash piled up in front of them and maybe a picture of both of them half blissfully asleep.
Yeah.
And the thing is, hey, quit calling President Trump. He is President Bone Spur. Yeah. He makes fun of these people that were in the military that were simply saying, follow the law and don't do the things that are against the law when you're in the military situations. And the third thing is, market the Republican Party as the Project 2025 party. That's who they are, how to destroy America in 88 simple pages in 11 months.
Yeah.
And And my last thing I'd like to say is, about a week ago, what's the name? Democracy Now! I can't think of her name, but she was in Brazil with this global warming thing, and I couldn't even watch it because it seemed to me like it was pointless. Because the main thing against global warming is capitalism and oil and people that control everything. So until we get intelligent Congress people in there that actually believe in science, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
So that's about all I got to say.
Okay, well, you said it well, Dave. President Bone Spur and Prince Bonesaw. That was a very good one. Dave, thank you very much. Joe in Seattle. Hey, Joe, what's up?
Good morning, Tom. Hey, during World War II, at the end of it, we had three people consolidate the world. That was Winston Churchill, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Stalin.
Right.
Today we have Trump, Xi Jinping, and Putin. Do you feel that that's what the intent here is to consolidate three powers?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Russia came out with their own national security strategy a couple of years ago. And we talked about it at some length on this program when it happened, in which they basically argued, Putin was basically arguing that there should be three spheres of influence in the world, that the United States should be responsible for North and South America. And it looks like Trump is taking that seriously, and he's trying to, he's going after now Colombia and Venezuela and make them safe for autocracy or whatever. That Russia should be responsible for Europe and Central Asia. And that China should be responsible for Asia, and then the issue of who is in charge of Australia and Africa is yet to be decided. But basically, and that seems to be exactly what Trump is and this national security strategy is essentially echoing that. So yeah, right. Absolutely. And by the way, when Russia says this is how it should be done, they're saying it should be done based on ethnicity. It's just astonishing. Joe, thank you for the call. We'll be right back. Change starts with you. You can be calling your Democratic or Republican representatives to let them know what you think by calling 202-224-3121. It's the Capitol switchboard. It'll get you right through to them. Between 1920 and 1980, America went from the middle class being about 10 or 12% of us up to being over 60% of us. What drove that was high taxation. High tax rates. Woodrow Wilson had 91% income tax rate. Franklin Roosevelt, 90% top income tax rate. Lyndon Johnson dropped it down to 74%. But from that, throughout that entire period of time, with the exception of the Roaring 20s, this is a brief little 10-year period, 12-year period, the top income tax rate was in the neighborhood of 74 to 90%. And what that did was it caused really rich people to leave their money in their businesses and pay their workers well, and that produced the middle class. Reagan came along and dropped that top tax rate down to 25% and then 27%, and it's now in the 30s, and that's what killed the middle class. We need to bring back these high taxes. There's a whole article about it at HartmannReport.com. Will the morbidly rich ever go back to being good citizens? Check it out.
Hear the iron boots on the marble floor. Hear the whisper from the east scroll out. There's a deal in the dark with a foreign hand, and it's breaking the back of this proud crowd. I saw a man raise his hand to swear he'd defend this land with grace, but the moment power touched his throne, he turned toward another face, and the Kremlin smile grew wide and cold as our allies backed away, while the man we trusted so voice for a tyrant's will to sway. How could we let the betrayal happen when Russia's shadow stained our sky? How did we watch as a leader we chose left our freedom out to dry? Oh, the cost is carved in the heart of the nation, and the wound is bleeding still. How could we let the betrayal happen, or are we learning now against our will?
24 minutes past the hour. So our crackdown alerts, there's a whole bunch of them. Meta is being charged, not legally, but Repro Uncensored is a non-governmental organization that tracks digital censorship around the world. And they're claiming that Meta, you know, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, that they have shut down or are censoring or targeting or shadow banning the accounts of multiple organizations nationwide that provide links to abortion advice or queer content. Meta denies that this is censorship, but Repro Uncensored has tracked over 210 incidents of accounts being removed. There's a great article about it by Aisha Down over at theguardian.com right now that you can read. Women Help Women had been on Facebook for 11 years. They say this ban could be life-threatening. Organizations, they're based out of the Netherlands, in fact. In some cases, these groups are getting their accounts back, but you know, only after public outrage, basically. Another one, Jacarandas, founded by a group of young feminists in Colombia. Blocked. Sex Talk Arabic, a UK-based platform. You know, there's a whole bunch of them. And then, you know, in terms of censorship, there's a new court filing. The Trump administration has a 6-page list of banned words for Head Start. Head Start, you know, the program for little kids? You cannot say or use the words, you know, associated with Head Start of disability, race, women, trauma, Gulf of Mexico, anti-racism, bias, black, climate crisis, clean energy, climate science, cultural heritage, diversity, environmental quality, immigrants, hate speech. These are words you cannot speak if you work for Head Start. Native American, mental health, minorities, prejudice, race and ethnicity, racial diversity, oppression, social justice, victim, women.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
It's crazy. It's just absolutely nuts. A little more on that and then your calls on the other side of the break. Stay with us. Our frontline funders, you know, the people who step up when the stakes are highest, it's true. They've just extended the match day that we had yesterday, you know, because the situation for independent media is that dire. So give to Free Speech TV today, and your gift is double. You can even get special premiums that you can't find anywhere else, like an autographed copy of The Last American President. And $20 gets you the mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month lets you choose the RAM contribution option, supporting remote area medicals, free clinics across the country. $144 or $12 a month gets you my book, The Last American President. $240 gets you the virtual meet and greet, where we meet on a Zoom call, off the record. And $1,000 brings you an in-person meet and greet. Come here to Portland, I'll take you out to lunch. And remember, every single one of those donations is matched dollar for dollar today. Now, why did the funders extend the match? Because they see what you and I see, a media landscape collapsing under corporate pressure, dissent getting algorithmically buried, and public interest journalism being suffocated by billionaires who want us distracted, divided, and docile. Free Speech TV is one of the last places still saying the quiet parts out loud. And that only continues if you power it. This is the moment in the pledge drive when we turn the corner, but only if everybody who watches steps forward. So please, if you've been meaning to give, if you've been waiting for the right moment, this is it. Match day is make or break. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate.
The more I think the only minority destroying America is the billionaires. Trans people are 1% of the population. Muslims are 1% of the population. Undocumented people are 1% of the population. We are focused on the wrong 1%. Trans people aren't taking away our health care. Muslims aren't defunding our schools. Immigrants aren't cutting taxes for themselves and their rich friends. It's the billionaires and their puppet politicians. The culture wars are a smokescreen. So many of the divisions in this state and in this country are manufactured by billionaires who want us fighting each other instead of fighting them. They want us looking left and right at our neighbors instead of looking up at them. The biggest divide in our politics is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom. The people at the top, the Elon Musks and the Rupert Murdochs of the world, they work so hard to keep us angry and divided because our unity is a threat to their wealth and their power. So their social media algorithms and their cable news networks tear us apart. They divide us by race, by gender, by culture, by religion. It's the oldest strategy in the world: divide and conquer. They want us to be afraid of immigrant moms and gay kids so that we don't notice that they are abolishing the Department of Education, gutting our health care, and cutting taxes for their donors. They want to keep us from seeing all that we have in common. They want to keep us from realizing that there is far more that unites us than divides us. Because once we do, we will come together across race, across gender, across culture, across religion to take power back for ourselves and our communities. That's what they're afraid of. That is why Donald Trump is trying to rig the next election. He and his allies in Congress just passed the largest transfer of wealth in American history with their big, beautiful bill.
You just heard it. The forces working to consolidate power are moving fast. And that's why our frontline funders push to extend Match Day, because they know that without independent, people-powered media, the truth gets drowned out entirely. Look, this isn't just a pledge drive. It's a moment for all of us who rely on the network and who need it to remain free from corporate control to hold the line together. When you donate, you become part of the backbone that keeps the entire project standing. And the match means your gift has twice the force behind it. $25 becomes $50, $50 becomes $100, $12 monthly becomes $24 a month for the first 3 months. That's real impact. So if you haven't donated again, or yet, now is the day. Don't wait for someone else to carry this weight. It's all of us together that keep Free Speech TV alive and growing. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate. And let's meet this moment with the strength it demands. Did you know that every weekday we send out an email before the show giving you all the topics coming up so you can be fully informed and ready to interact with our program? Or that after the show we send out Sue's Stack, a list of every topic I've discussed along with clickable hot links to every source of information I've shared with you on the air? It's all completely free and available over at thom.tv, THOM.tv. Check it out.
Snow is drifting gently, and the lights are glowing bright. Neighbors share a smile as they pass beneath the night. Doors are open wide for every heart that needs a friend. A Christmas filled with kindness, where the welcome doesn't end.
35 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. The whole thing disgusts me, says an Australian. Australians are abandoning travel to the United States. The last year of free travel to the United States, 2019, more than 100,000 Australians arrived to the United States every month. Since Trump came in, it's been in the low 50,000s, and last month it was only November was only 45,000. Now you've got Australians saying, now that Trump is saying that you've got to hand over your social media history before they'll issue you an electronic visa. He says, quote, "It's not worth the risk. Why would you put your family in danger for a holiday?" Another dual U.S.-Australian citizen whose brother his brother and his family live in the U.S., he said, "Unfortunately, for the time being, they got to come to Mexico because we ain't going to the USA." Meanwhile, an Irish grandmother who has lived in the United States for most of her life, holds a green card, is facing deportation because she wrote a bad check for $25 in 2015. Her husband claims she didn't even know it was a bad check. She was just, these things happen. Donna Hughes Brown, 58 years old. She's a grandmother and mother. She has children and grandchildren who are American citizens. Her husband's an American citizen. She has a green card. She was here legally. They took a holiday trip to Dublin, and when they flew back into the United States, she was detained at the airport because of this $25 bad check. Under the new big beautiful bill, it says that if you have any kind of criminal history whatsoever, even if you have a green card, boom, you're out. And she has been held since July. I mean, this is mind-boggling. She's still in prison. They had her in solitary confinement for a while. She says, if she was detained, I'll just read to you from this piece in The Guardian, Rory Carroll. She was detained under a legislation amended on 4th of July as part of Trump's sweeping One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The couple visited Ireland that month for a funeral. When they landed at Chicago's O'Hare Airport on 29 July, a police officer was waiting for her at the ramp. 5 days later, she was transferred to an Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE facility in Kentucky, where she told her husband the conditions were deplorable. He lost contact with her. She was moved to an isolation cell. She was put in solitary confinement. Her husband says he thinks that her request for a low-sodium diet might be the reason she was moved. He said, quote, "They tried to feed her hot dogs and Chili Max. She probably told them after the 5th time they tried to serve her, 'I'm not eating that.' So they locked her up. I haven't heard from her." I mean, and then, that story was from August. Now, you got another story from Thanksgiving. Loved ones in Missouri say her grandmother will be spending Thanksgiving behind bars. Her husband says, "Please show me in the Bible where this is what you're supposed to do. It's wrong, period." She's been in the country since she was 11 years old, by the way. And she's still in custody. I mean, this is... Kristi Noem was testifying before the Senate this morning, or excuse me, before the House this morning. And, while Marjorie Taylor Greene gave her a nice, tongue bath, there were a few Democrats who really held her to account and asked, what the hell is going on? Why aren't you going after actual criminals? This grandmother is not an actual criminal. Come on, give me a break. But they don't care. I mean, this is just a machine now. And it's all to fulfill, Stephen Miller and Donald Trump's, and J.D. Vance's racist Great Replacement Theory ideology that came out of the Camp of the Saints book out of France years ago. It's just wrong. So what's on your mind? Jeff in Tawas, Michigan. Hey, Jeff, how's the Democratic Party doing there?
Tom, I'm kind of speechless with your show today. Yeah, I'm calling today about the Jack Bergman, our congressional representative. Mm-hmm. He doesn't care. One of our Democratic Party members got through to a person, and we've been trying to call him, of course, daily. And she said that, frankly, they didn't care about starving people or health care coverage. They just simply do not care and don't want to hear any more.
Well, they do care about tax breaks for billionaires.
Well, now that's different. That's very different.
Yeah.
You got to take care of those people. If this is the attitude of the Republican majority, then I'm not sure calling them anymore even does us any good. Yeah. I think we need to concentrate our efforts on more town halls, more protesting, and I think we need people to we need to visit people and spread the truth about the Republicans and Trump, press the flesh, phone calls, then door-to-door visits.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. And get ready for the next election and do everything we can to prevent them from stealing it.
Exactly. I heard that Debbie Dingell, who is another congressman from Michigan, I'm sure you know that name.
Yeah.
Dingell.
Yeah, her husband was a long time. Yeah.
Right. He was kind of a blue dog Democrat. But anyway, she's trying to make some kind of deal with Jack Bergman now. Do you know anything about that?
I don't.
About a care? I heard it, but I haven't heard anything else about it.
Yeah. Don't know.
And I guess I gotta start getting your information about your show, because today it's like overwhelming. Oh yeah,
if you want a hot link to every single thing I mention, and it's free, by the way. Sue puts it together. It's Sue's Daily Stack, and it comes in your email box about 3 hours after the show is over. Just go to tom.tv, THOM.tv, and sign up. Like I said, it's free. So.
That's what I got to do.
Yeah, and you'll get probably on an average show, you'll get 40, 50, 60 hot links, sometimes many more. Literally everything I talk about, Sue tracks down, finds the original sources. She has access to our show, the wiki that we use internally when Louise and I put the show together every day. Then Sue has access to that, and she takes that, but she expands on it considerably. So it's a real resource. So I encourage you to check it out.
Do you receive? I'm going to do that definitely. Yeah. Do you receive a lot of threats, Tom? Or?
I don't talk about it, Jeff.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
It's just not something I want to talk about.
We're going to have more and more people coming to our headquarters because we have so many new members, and we're so large that we're looking at security issues. And
yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. I mean, there was security when I was speaking in Seattle at Town Hall. It's increasing. I mean, Elon Musk is now saying he won't go out in public. But I'm not panicked about it. I'm
not going to make a nasty comment about that. But
yeah. There you go, Jeff. I got to move along. Thanks for the call and good luck. Keep the faith there in Michigan. Esteban in Long Beach. Hey, Esteban, what's up?
Is that right? Let me take this card.
Say what?
Yeah, this is Esteban. Yeah. What's going on?
You're on the air.
Hello?
Yeah. What's up?
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to know why more talk isn't given to the genocide going on in Gaza.
Well, it's
virtually never hear about that.
Yeah, it's something I should probably discuss more often. It's in fact, there was a baby that just died from exposure. I mean, they're experiencing horrible rains right now. This is the winter has started in that region, and you've got people who've they had homes, and those homes are just all destroyed, utterly destroyed by Netanyahu and his soldiers, and they're still killing people, they're still shooting people, they're still starving people. It's obscene. I'm with you, Esteban. Thank you. Maria in Philadelphia. Hey, Maria, what's up?
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
Just fine, yeah.
Okay. Hi. So I just wanted to call about two things that you spoke about earlier. One of them was, I guess maybe after hearing what was going on and how the other countries are looking at us like we're nuts, which are the least
Denmark
that voted
called
for
us a threat today.
Yeah, well, I guess if you were Denmark, you might too.
Yeah.
But I just sit there and listen. I've been stewing over this for a while, because I don't watch this guy speak, the orange person. I don't ever watch him speak, but sometimes I watch shows and they show clips, which I usually turn the volume off. But when you think about, I don't understand how people don't see that, and they voted for this guy. And even if they're watching right-wing media, they show stuff with what he does, the behavior patterns, everything. I just don't understand how they voted for it, even if they were just thinking about their pockets. I mean, 2 days before the election, he feigned something that on a microphone that I think you know what I'm talking about, because I don't want to mention it because it's not, I think you know what I'm talking about, what he did 2 days.
Are you talking about
using a microphone?
the whole oral sex thing or something like that?
Yeah,
I vaguely remember it. I'm sorry, I don't recall the details, but I remember something disgusting happened.
Well, it was disgusting. 2 days before the election, and they still voted for this guy.
Oh, he'd been convicted. I mean, convicted isn't the right word in a civil case, but basically convicted of raping E. Jane Carroll. I mean, according to the judge, he said this is what you call rape, So, yeah.
Exactly. And even if you don't believe that stuff, your eyes should not be deceiving you in what you're looking at in front of you. And this behavior is definitely not presidential.
No.
Okay?
No, it's not. And it's not American.
And the last thing, and I was just looking for your comment, which maybe you can make offline after we hang up here. But the last thing, too, is these people with extreme wealth are not very smart, and that is an understatement. They remind me of the inbred royals from like the 16th century.
Yeah, good point, Maria. Good point. Thank you, particularly the ones who are the trust fund babies. Thank you very much. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
46 minutes past the hour, taking back the mainstream media 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, right here. I'll be right back with more of your calls. And welcome back. Ty in Tacoma. Hey, Ty, what's up?
Hello. I was just wondering, how can Ukraine actually win? I feel like it's in a impossible position because it's in a war of attrition. Russia just has more numbers, and I think you would need boots on the ground, right? And I don't know if.
I don't think it's so much boots to the ground. I think good weapon systems, and I encourage you to read Daily Kos, DAILYKOS.com, because there's some really good reporting over there on an almost daily basis about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. The reality is, right now, Putin's government is on the verge of falling. I mean, their economy is in free fall. The Ukrainians have been taking out chunks of their oil infrastructure. They're suffering under these sanctions. Frankly, if we had been supplying them with the weaponry that we should have been supplying them for all 3 years, particularly the air defenses, but also the offensive weaponry, I think that they could have stopped Putin and backed him into a corner. And I think he's on... I think he's frankly desperate. I mean, when Putin starts talking about using nuclear weapons against Europe, you know that he's desperate. So I think this is entirely winnable by Ukraine. I'm not sure that they'll be able to get all the territory back that they've lost, but I think that they can certainly stop Russia in its tracks if Europe gets its act together. That's a big if right now because they've been blocked by Viktor Orban now for a year, and Trump has been blocking all U.S. aid to Ukraine for a year. So it's amazing what they've been doing just on their own. But,
it just seems like...
I think it was Barack Obama who once described Russia as a gas station with a country attached to it.
John McCain.
Oh, John McCain, thank you. Yeah. I mean, their economy is pathetic right now. It's smaller than California. It's not, yes, they have a huge land mass and a fairly large population, but mostly a huge land mass. But, that doesn't make you a great power. They've got a lot of nuclear weapons too, and that's it. So
the nuclear question is why I think it's a difficult situation.
I think he's bluffing. He knows that he would die, and everybody around him would die if he did that. So, Ty, thanks for the call. Lori in Ocala, Florida. Hey, Lori, what's up?
Just wanted to discuss who is the United States going to war against. We have the richest nation in the world. We have the mightiest military in the world. And we could go to war with anyone except for those who are not loyal to Trump, to include all Democrats, most independents, most immigrants now, and most lower courts, not the six Supremes who are already baked in.
Right.
So the Trump administration is and must be at war against the Dems and their ilk in order to pursue the big picture, like the war that you already outlined, designed by Russia.
Yeah.
Dems have to learn this. We have to acknowledge this, and we have to get our armor on. And I don't understand that we're not zeroing in on the fact that we are the enemy. There is no enemy now. He has to conquer us before he can conquer the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and he's trying. I think your analysis is right, Lori. He's trying, but I think he's failing. I really do, and I'm looking forward to this next year. I think that I think the worm has turned, as the old saying goes. Lori, thank you for the call. Spot on in your analysis. I'll be back with you in just a minute. Stay with us. Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. I have 8 suggestions for Democrats for messaging. Democrats seem to have a messaging problem right now. First, Democrats must frame the fight in simple moral terms. Don't be wonky like, hey, we need to expand social safety net. No, say no child in America should go to bed hungry. Second, Democrats need to stop playing defense and instead seize the populist high ground. Like when FDR said, they are unanimous in their hate for me and I welcome their hatred. Third, ruthlessly define the Republican opposition and the morbidly rich oligarchs who own them. Fourth, tell stories instead of facts. Reagan did this with the black welfare queen. He had to lie about it, but we've got lots of great stories. That's number fourth. There's 4 more. And they're all over at HartmannReport.com. The title of the article is, If Obama Had Sent a Mob to Kill a Cop, Republicans Would Never Let You Forget It. And it's all about how Democrats can reinvent their messaging to start winning elections big. Check it out.
Marching boots on city streets, paper laws beneath his feet. Every voice that dares to sing falls silent in the shadow of a crown. It's good to be king if the people kneel, if the truth is buried, if the courts won't feel.
Welcome back. 52 minutes past the hour. Picking up your calls here. Nancy in Mexico. Hey, Nancy, what's on your mind today?
Well, Tom, good morning.
Good morning.
I had just gotten off the phone with all 3 of my Republican ne'er-do-wells.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have the 2 senators, Hawley and Schmidt.
Mm-hmm. So you're from
and
Missouri.
then Sam Graves is my representative.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked them, just how much treason are y'all willing to commit for this felon?
Yeah.
I don't use his name in anything. I refer to him as a felon. That's what he is. He's an adjudicated rapist. He's just not a good person.
Yep.
Which is an understatement.
Yeah.
And
So what'd they say?
we'll be glad to pass this on.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, it's important that you let them know.
We've got it all recorded.
Yeah, it's important that you let them know that people out here are paying attention to what's going on.
Well, that's what I tell them when I start out. I tell them, I've been paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I have a daughter that's like, Mom, you need to stop because they're going to come after you.
Yeah.
And
I don't think
I
we're
will
quite there yet.
admit, it's a little scary. I live in a Republican town.
Mm-hmm.
I had a sign up for Biden and Harris and ended up with dog caca on my flowers from somebody.
Oh,
you know,
my.
It was lovely.
Are you in
this is-
Mexico on vacation, or do you spend the winters there? Or
No,
it sounds
this
like
is
you live in
Mexico, Missouri.
Oh, Mexico, Missouri. Okay, well, let me fix that then.
Hola.
Okay. I got it.
Kids
Interesting.
thought the same thing. I said, look, it'd take me longer to get to you than an hour.
Yeah, I got it. Well, Nancy,
anyway.
yeah, good on you for calling. I share your frustration and your outrage.
Well, you give me hope. In fact, I was listening earlier to some of the people and your response, and you give me hope.
I have a lot of hope. I don't, you know, Russia and Hungary were democracies for less than a decade, basically, when they lost their democracy. We've been a democracy, more or less, for 250 years. I just don't think we're going to give this thing up that easily. I think this whole, you know, neo-Nazi experiment that the right-wing billionaires started in the 70s and that has now come to fruition with Trump, I think it's going to collapse from its own weight and its own corruption. And you know, I'm seeing all the signs of it all around me right now. So, while it's horrible, it's disgusting, the damage that's being done to the world, the damage that's being done to other democracies around the world, is horrific. On the other hand, if you look, you know, here in America, you had 7 million people stand up and show up in the streets and say we're standing up to Trump, and you've got Europe now coming together and you know, putting some steel in their spines. And so I think in a way you could say, you know how a vaccine works by kind of challenging your immune system. You know, you get a little bit of the dead virus, or in some cases even a live virus, you know, and your immune system just goes nuts and says, okay, we're gonna strengthen our response to this. I think you could argue that Trump has been the vaccine for America that is causing the immune system of democracy. In fact, I would say more generally, not just America, but Europe and Australia as well, and Taiwan and Korea. I mean, look at what in South Korea, they had a president that tried to pull a Trump, and he's in jail right now. You know, the guy who tried to pull a Trump in the Philippines is in jail right now. Yeah, absolutely. Nancy, I got to run, but thank you for the call. Spot on. Now, you know, don't despair, and keep calling them. Thank you. Good talking to you. On the other side of the break, we'll check in with Phil Ittner, find out what's going on, you know, our veteran war correspondent friend, and find out who's based out of Kyiv, Ukraine, find out what's going on there.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
Anywhere else, like an autographed copy of the last American president. And $20 gets you the mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month lets you choose the RAM contribution option, supporting remote area medical's free clinics across the country. $144 or $12 a month gets you my book, The Last American President. $240 gets you the virtual meet and greet, where we meet on a Zoom call, off the record. And $1,000 brings you an in-person meet and greet. Come here to Portland, I'll take you out to lunch. And remember, every single one of those donations is matched dollar for dollar today. Now, why did the funders extend the match? Because they see what you and I see, a media landscape collapsing under corporate pressure, dissent getting algorithmically buried, and public interest journalism being suffocated by billionaires who want us distracted, divided, and docile. Free Speech TV is one of the last places still saying the quiet parts out loud. And that only continues if you power it. This is the moment in the pledge drive when we turn the corner, but only if everybody who watches steps forward. So please, if you've been meaning to give, if you've been waiting for the right moment, this is it. Match day is make or break. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate.
The more I think the only minority destroying America is the billionaires. Trans people are 1% of the population. Muslims are 1% of the population. Undocumented people are 1% of the population. We are focused on the wrong 1%.
Our frontline funders, the people who step up when the stakes are highest, it's true. They've just extended the match day that we had yesterday, because the situation for independent media is that dire. So give to Free Speech TV today, and your gift is doubled. You can even get special premiums that you can't find anywhere else, like an autographed copy of the last American president. And $20 gets you the mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month lets you choose the RAM contribution option, supporting remote area medical's free clinics across the country. $144 or $12 a month gets you my book, The Last American President. $240 gets you the virtual meet and greet where we meet on a Zoom call, off the record. And $1,000 brings you an in-person meet and greet. Come here to Portland, I'll take you out to lunch. And remember, every single one of those donations is matched dollar for dollar today. Now, why did the funders extend the match? Because they see what you and I see, a media landscape collapsing under corporate pressure, dissent getting algorithmically buried, and public interest journalism being suffocated by billionaires who want us distracted, divided, and docile. Free Speech TV is one of the last places still saying the quiet parts out loud. And that only continues if you power it. This is the moment in the pledge drive when we turn the corner, but only if everybody who watches steps forward. So please, if you've been meaning to give, if you've been waiting for the right moment, this is it. Match day is make or break. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate.
The more I think the only minority destroying America is the billionaires. Trans people are 1% of the population. Muslims are 1% of the population. Undocumented people are 1% of the population. We are focused on the wrong 1%. Trans people aren't taking away our health care. Muslims aren't defunding our schools. Immigrants aren't cutting taxes for themselves and their rich friends. It's the billionaires and their puppet politicians. The culture wars are a smokescreen. So many of the divisions in this state and in this country are manufactured by billionaires who want us fighting each other instead of fighting them. They want us looking left and right at our neighbors instead of looking up at them. The biggest divide in our politics is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom. The people at the top, the Elon Musks and the Rupert Murdochs of the world, they work so hard to keep us angry and divided because our unity is a threat to their wealth and their power. So their social media algorithms and their cable news networks tear us apart. They divide us by race, by gender, by culture, by religion. It's the oldest strategy in the world: divide and conquer. They want us to be afraid of immigrant moms and gay kids so that we don't notice that they are abolishing the Department of Education, gutting our health care, and cutting taxes for their donors. They want to keep us from seeing all that we have in common. They want to keep us from realizing that there is far more that unites us than divides us. Because once we do, we will come together across race, across gender, across culture, across religion, to take power back for ourselves and our communities. That's what they're afraid of. That is why Donald Trump is trying to rig the next election. He and his allies in Congress just passed the largest transfer of wealth in American history with their big, beautiful bill.
You just heard it. The forces working to consolidate power are moving fast. And that's why our frontline funders push to extend Match Day, because they know that without independent, people-powered media, the truth gets drowned out entirely. Look, this isn't just a pledge drive. It's a moment for all of us who rely on the network and who need it to remain free from corporate control to hold the line together. When you donate, you become part of the backbone that keeps the entire project standing. And the match means your gift has twice the force behind it. $25 becomes $50, $50 becomes $100, $12 monthly becomes $24 a month for the first 3 months. That's real impact. So if you haven't donated again, or yet, now is the day. Don't wait for someone else to carry this weight. It's all of us together that keep Free Speech TV alive and growing. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate. And let's meet this moment with the strength it demands.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Welcome back to the second hour of our program. On the line with us, our buddy Phil Ittner, the veteran war correspondent, typically based out of Kyiv, Ukraine, the host of the On the Edge podcast, PhilipIttner.com, his website. Phil Ittner over on YouTube, Ittner Philip on social media, on Blue Sky and Twitter. And Phil, welcome back to the program. I understand you're making your way back to Ukraine. Thank you for joining us today. I'm curious your thoughts on, what is happening in Europe right now. It looks like the EU is trying to get around Viktor Orban, and I haven't caught whether they actually pulled it off today or not.
I did not see that they pulled it off today either, but I do know that there is a very large movement to exclude Orban from EU decision-making. They have toyed with the idea of removing Hungary's vote in the European Parliament, and that significantly scared a lot of Hungarians who took to the streets. And I think probably Orban got the message. But that was about, I want to say, 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah, but he's still blocking aid to Ukraine, isn't he?
He's blocking aid to Ukraine, and he's blocking, one of the major things that he is blocking is the decision the EU is struggling with to try and seize Russian central banking assets and oligarch assets and basically stolen money that are being held in various Western banks, particularly I understand in Belgium and in Switzerland and some in France. This is where they hide their money, where the power elite, who are only in a position of power elite because of Vladimir Putin and ergo are, complicit in the war. What the European Union is very seriously considering is seizing those assets to both fund the war and then in the recovery effort for punitive damages that have been done to Ukraine. There's a lot of people that are very cautious of this because they fear that this will set a precedent and that other nations, the wealthy of other nations will be reluctant to deposit their money in these banks, because if the leadership of their nation decides to do something that maybe they don't politically agree with, or don't support. But nevertheless, the precedent would be set that, well, we don't like your government, so we're going to seize your money, including the wealthy oligarchy.
Right. So everybody goes back to Panama.
So that's the concern.
All right.
Yeah, that is the concern here. It is being overridden by a growing voice led by people like Sir Bill Browder and some others who are saying what you do is you make this a one-off. You say this is because of Putin. This is a Russian, a unique to Russia situation because of the uniqueness of this particular war. It's you're splitting hairs, perhaps. That's the counter criticism of this excuse. But nevertheless, there is still very strong movement within the European Union to try this because they need the money, especially if America is going to start pulling away. And Orban has been obstructionist to this. And so they are trying to get to a place where they can override Orban. And, if that has to be removing sovereign Hungarian citizens' voice in the European Parliament, there does seem to be a growing sentiment of, then pick better leaders.
Yeah, well, let's hope it succeeds. Last week, the United States issued a new national security strategy, which basically aligns the United States with Russia and spits in the face of Europe. Mark Rudd, the head of NATO, this morning said we need to prepare for war like our grandparents endured, and he's trying to get all the other European countries to jack up their defense spending. There's
for a Dutchman to say that, is no small matter, because Holland, the Netherlands went through an awful lot during the Second World War.
Mark Rudd is not given to hyperbole. I mean, this is a guy who is very carefully measured in his words.
He is a very considered, articulate man who is extremely good at negotiations. This is why he was brought in, is that he was known on the international stage as being a steady hand and a guy who could negotiate. And so I think that's what we're looking at here, is Rudd trying to figure out a way to convince not only Europeans, but also to send a message internationally that Europeans take this seriously, and that, if they have to go it alone, they will. But I do sense a growing understanding of the very real threat from Russia in Europe, especially in light of America's, apparent determined decision to withdraw. I mean, I chuckled when you mentioned and said that the security policy came out of Washington. That security policy didn't come from Washington. That security policy came from the Kremlin.
Right.
I mean, it is almost word for word what Foreign Minister Lavrov has been saying about Ukraine and a resolution to the Ukrainian war. Yeah. It's cut and paste.
Yeah.
And so I don't see the Europeans accepting it, and I certainly don't see the Ukrainians accepting it. Yeah. Where does that leave us afterwards? Does that allow the Trump administration to say that the Zelensky administration is being the obstructionist one and ergo deserves everything that they get? I don't know. But I know that the Europeans are starting to take this far more seriously about the responsibility that they have to avoid Moscow having undue prominence and power and influence on the continent.
Right, and to a large extent, Moscow's prominence and influence on the continent, on the European continent, is coming via these right-wing parties like AfD that are embracing Putin, that love authoritarianism, and that were embraced by this national security document. So, this is another concern of the European. In fact, the Danes this morning came out and said that they view the United States as a potential threat to Denmark. I mean, and they weren't just talking about Greenland. It's crazy.
Well, they're increasingly seeing the fact that actually the Kremlin and the White House seem to be
on the same
speaking
page.
Common cause.
Yep, absolutely.
And that shocks our European allies.
Yeah, I call it treason. I mean, to paraphrase John Stormer, I dare call it treason. In fact, I did this morning in my newsletter at HartmannReport.com. So, Phil, Trump came out last week, or maybe it was the week before, and said that he's giving, he has this proposal for peace in Ukraine, which involves Ukraine never joining NATO, Ukraine giving all the land to Putin that he's already grabbed, and even a little bit more. Zelensky stepping down, quack. I mean, it was literally, as we later learned, written in Moscow, right down to the point that the proposal that the Trump administration offered had syntax in it that was the way that Russian syntax works, not the way English syntax works. It was literally translated from the Russian into English. They tweaked it a little bit, down in Miami. But my understanding is that Trump has publicly said that Zelensky has until Christmas. And if he doesn't accept this as it is by Christmas, then that's it. We're going to walk away and just leave him to the tender mercies of the butcher of Moscow. How credible is that? Do you believe that to be the case? Do you think that's what's pushing Europe to get off their butts? And how do you still think it's possible for Ukraine to back down Russia?
Well, I think the Europeans, ever since what happened in the Ovals all those months ago, when they saw to their disbelief an American president dressing down an ally, the leader of a country at war with an enemy of the United States, and that's what Moscow is, by their own decision, I might add. So I think the Europeans have already been moving their policy towards a more proactive and engaged policy, and also beefing up the military industrial spending, which is kind of what they had been hoping to avoid by providing weaponry to Ukraine. But they needed America to do that. And if America is really going to do things like move away, if it isn't resolved by Christmas, we're going to walk away sort of thing, then they're absolutely going to have to step it up, and they know it. Yeah. But what's happening in the United States when it comes to this threat of, like, if it isn't resolved by Christmas, we're going to walk away. Look, it's taco, in my opinion. In my opinion, I mean, and that is not me stating fact. That is me saying
Trump has withheld military aid for 12 months now. So do you think he's going to chicken out and start providing military aid again? I realize it's in the defense bill that the Senate is, that the House and the Senate are supposed to vote on this week or next week.
It is, yeah, right. And I'll two quick points and one is that, yes, not only has he been withholding off and on, turning on and off the tap when it comes to supplies, but also intelligence, perhaps even more importantly. Yeah. And he's been very, very wishy-washy about that. And that's been incredibly problematic, because you can't plan or rely or make battle plans if you know that your ally is going to betray you at the last minute and withdraw intelligence. Right. So this has been a huge, huge issue. But when it comes to the taco aspect of it, I think there are still enough. There's still enough support in the United States that if we were to completely turn off the tap to Ukraine, Trump is not as strong as he used to be. There are weaknesses. There's accusations of lame duck and all that kind of stuff. I think there's still enough Americans who support Ukraine, and so that it wouldn't be as easy as him saying, "I'm washing my hands and walking away." I don't think that would be accepted. I don't think that would be swallowed very well in America or in the West at large. I don't think he's going to necessarily go as far as abandoning them. And the last point I'll make with that, Tom, is something that I have been saying for the entire duration of the full-scale war. We don't have a choice. Russia has decided to attack this neighboring country. They're going to do that unless we stop them. They are a bully, and unless you punch a bully in the nose, he's going to keep doing what he's doing. Okay. So we as Americans, we in the West, but America in particular, are we willing to withdraw our support and then stand by on the sidelines as the Russians do what they do when they conduct war? And that is war crimes, and that can be recorded and seen on every television television screen or every computer screen in America, are we really going to say, after having said we had support for Ukraine, are we really going to turn course so sharply that we watch massacres and rape squads and mass grave after mass grave? Are we really going to be that passive?
I sure hope not. Phil, thank you. Hang on just a second.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Guy always steps on me. Phil, thank you so much for dropping by. It's always great talking.
Next time from Kiev.
There you go. Thank you, Phil. $18 minutes past the hour, and 19 minutes past the hour now. Picking up some phone calls here. Steve in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Hey, Steve. How's everything there? What's up?
Hey. Hi, Tom. Hey, you stole my thunder at the opening of the show there. I was going to ask you a bunch of questions, and you answered every one of them about Ukraine.
Yeah.
And, the only thing that I was wondering about, and after listening to the interview with Ittner, I don't know if this is relevant or not, but, Trump is allied with Russia and Putin, as is Orban. Our country isn't, but he sure is. Mm-hmm. If the war goes bad for Russia, which it is, like you said, and it gets so bad and the ground war is going bad, would there be a possibility, do you think, that Trump would write an executive order, because the Congress isn't going to interfere with him, and commit ground troops with Russia?
No, there's no chance that Trump or the United States will put ground troops in there. I think there is a chance. I mean, there was a British soldier who was killed or captured by the Russians recently. And Putin is now claiming that that's proof of British involvement and that's an act of war. And, he's doing his saber rattling thing and threatening nuclear war and all this kind of stuff. I see that as an act of desperation. Now, desperation cuts two ways. Desperation could be, it is a sign of weakness, obviously. But, I cornered a mouse once in a house that we had in Vermont. And that little thing, when I got it literally in the corner, it just got up on its hind feet and was like, I'm going to take you down. Would that desperation drive Putin to actually use nukes? I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. But I'm not willing to discount anything as a possibility right now.
I was just going to say that. I'm not willing to discount anything either. And the other thing that you talked about a little bit about was Venezuela. I find it incredible that we can seize a super tanker, but yet we blow 18-foot runabouts out of the seas.
Yeah. And here's what I think is going on, Steve. In World War I, during World War I, and these were both Democratic presidents, by the way, Woodrow Wilson used World War I as an excuse to imprison Eugene Debs and a bunch of other people as well for speaking out against the war. In other words, people who he viewed as his political enemies. Trump wants to do that. During World War II, Franklin Roosevelt used the threat of the Japanese as an excuse to inter over 100,000 Japanese on the West Coast. Rachel Maddow's got a great podcast about that right now, Burn Notice. And Trump wants to do that. He's building concentration camps right now like there's no tomorrow. And so I think that Trump wants a war with Venezuela so that he will have that wartime excuse to do what Wilson and Roosevelt did.
Well, the liar in chief can't look ahead of his nose, because I read there in a report that oil was going to Iran and onward to China. Mm-hmm. Now, if let's just say Colombia and Venezuela ally with China, what's this liar in chief going to do? I mean, he bullies, but we don't need China in there, and we certainly don't need a war.
Well, China's already in there, and more importantly, Russia is already in there. I mean, there's actual Russian troops on the ground in Venezuela right now. So this could get very, very dicey. This is not. He thinks it's going to be a walk in the park, and he probably thinks Iraq and Afghanistan were a walk in the park. It ain't going to be. Steve, I got to run.
That's exactly my point, Tom.
Yeah,
That's exactly my point.
Well said. Thank you. 22 minutes past the hour. Missed my opening rant today? It's usually published over at HartmannReport.com, where you can read it and share it with your friends for free. Check it out, HartmannReport.com. Human beings have a couple of unique characteristics. The first is that we can be very tender and loving and concerned and caring toward people we perceive as being our group, us. We can also be extraordinarily violent against people that we consider to be them, if we think of them or this other as a threat. Probably the classic example of this is Adolf Hitler convincing Germans that, Jews were a threat to them and good Germans going along with the Holocaust. Well, this othering is built into our DNA. This is, ancient stuff. And the Republican Party, since the time of Nixon, when he started, picking up the white racist vote after Democrats laid it down in the 60s, the Republicans have been using this to try to other minorities in America as a political strategy. And this is really deadly stuff. There's a whole op-ed about it over at HartmannReport.com. Is othering human nature's deadliest instinct? Check it out.
They came for Ukraine in the dead of night. A sovereign land lit by freedom's light. Sirens wailed as the skies turned red. But Ukraine stood while the cowards fled. Homes were shattered, dreams set ablaze. Yet through the smoke, the blue and yellow sways. A mother clings to a photograph. Ukraine still breathes. Ukraine still lasts.
25 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. If you're watching on TV, you can see I'm wearing a shirt with the colors of Ukraine. I try to wear that on Thursdays. You will be impeached. This is amazing. Kristi Noem chickened out this morning. She was testifying before Congress. This happened, and then she said, I got to leave, and she left early. And as she was leaving, people were shouting, shame, shame, Gestapo, Gestapo. But this was pretty wild. Representative Delia C. Ramirez, or Delia, I'm not sure, threatened to impeach her. He said, Ramirez said, quote, I want to be very clear. You have misused resources appropriated by Congress. You have engaged in unethical behavior. You have repeatedly made false and misleading statements to Congress and to the press, and you've undermined the separation of powers and disregarded the role of Congress and the courts. Bottom line, you lie with impunity, you reject checks and balances, and you ignore Congress and the courts. Your options are limited. Either you're going to resign, Trump's going to fire you, or you will be impeached. Ramirez added, I urge you to reconsider resignation because I've taken the first steps toward your impeachment. I've called on the Judiciary Committee to open an investigation into your lawlessness. And, shortly thereafter, Kristi Noem, Ice Barbie, gets up and says, well, I've got to go. We've got a meeting with FEMA, and I'm sorry, I just can't stay here any longer. And I think the heat is starting to get to her. And, the Democrats were, they were not backing down today in this hearing before the House. And I realize that the Republicans were just, lavishing her with praise and telling her how wonderful she is and, how millions of illegal criminals came in during the Biden administration, which is by and large a lie. A couple million may have, but not the 13 million, I think it was, that Marjorie Taylor Greene was quacking about. Keep an eye on this one. I'll be back with more on the other side of the break.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
Yesterday, Jerome Powell called out Donald Trump. I'll tell you about that, and I'll pick up your calls in just a minute. Stay with us. Our frontline funders, the people who step up when the stakes are highest, it's true. They've just extended the match day that we had yesterday, because the situation for independent media is that dire. So give to Free Speech TV today, and your gift is doubled. You can even get special premiums that you can't find anywhere else, like an autographed copy of The Last American President. And $20 gets you the mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month lets you choose the RAM contribution option, supporting remote area medical's free clinics across the country. $144 or $12 a month gets you my book, The Last American President. $240 gets you the virtual meet and greet where we meet on a Zoom call, off the record. And $1,000 brings you an in-person meet and greet. Come here to Portland, I'll take you out to lunch. And remember, every single one of those donations is matched dollar for dollar today. Now, why did the funders extend the match? Because they see what you and I see, a media landscape collapsing under corporate pressure, dissent getting algorithmically buried, and public interest journalism being suffocated by billionaires who want us distracted, divided, and docile. Free Speech TV is one of the last places still saying the quiet parts out loud. And that only continues if you power it. This is the moment in the pledge drive when we turn the corner, but only if everybody who watches steps forward. So please, if you've been meaning to give, if you've been waiting for the right moment, this is it. Match day is make or break. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate.
The more I think the only minority destroying America is the billionaires. Trans people are 1% of the population. Muslims are 1% of the population. Undocumented people are 1% of the population. We are focused on the wrong 1%. Trans people aren't taking away our health care. Muslims aren't defunding our schools. Immigrants aren't cutting taxes for themselves and their rich friends. It's the billionaires and their puppet politicians. The culture wars are a smokescreen. So many of the divisions in this state and in this country are manufactured by billionaires who want us fighting each other instead of fighting them. They want us looking left and right at our neighbors instead of looking up at them. The biggest divide in our politics is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom. The people at the top, the Elon Musks and the Rupert Murdochs of the world, they work so hard to keep us angry and divided because our unity is a threat to their wealth and their power. So their social media algorithms and their cable news networks tear us apart. They divide us by race, by gender, by culture, by religion. It's the oldest strategy in the world: divide and conquer. They want us to be afraid of immigrant moms and gay kids so that we don't notice that they are abolishing the Department of Education, gutting our health care, and cutting taxes for their donors. They want to keep us from seeing all that we have in common. They want to keep us from realizing that there is far more that unites us than divides us. Because once we do, we will come together across race, across gender, across culture, across religion to take power back for ourselves and our communities. That's what they're afraid of. That is why Donald Trump is trying to rig the next election. He and his allies in Congress just passed the largest transfer of wealth in American history with their big, beautiful bill.
You just heard it. The forces working to consolidate power are moving fast. And that's why our frontline funders push to extend Match Day, because they know that without independent, people-powered media, the truth gets drowned out entirely. Look, this isn't just a pledge drive. It's a moment for all of us who rely on the network and who need it to remain free from corporate control to hold the line together. When you donate, you become part of the backbone that keeps the entire project standing. And the match means your gift has twice the force behind it. $25 becomes $50, $50 becomes $100, $12 monthly becomes $24 a month for the first 3 months. That's real impact. So if you haven't donated again, or yet, now is the day. Don't wait for someone else to carry this weight. It's all of us together that keep Free Speech TV alive and growing. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate. And let's meet this moment with the strength it demands. Share the Thom Hartmann program with your friends. Our podcast, The Hartmann Report, is absolutely free and available wherever fine podcasts are available. And the entire 3-hour podcast is available over at thomhartmann.com. So what do we call the really, really mind-bogglingly rich? You know, at the founding of the Republic, they were referred to as speculators or moneyed interest or aristocrats. In the years leading up to the Civil War, we called them the cotton lords and the plantation aristocracy. In the late 19th century, they were the robber barons. In the 1930s, FDR called them the economic royalists. But since the Reagan Revolution, we've just called them billionaires. And now, you know, some of them want to call themselves tech bros. Like, that's kind of a good thing, you know, like tech is positive and bros, you know, like Mark Zuckerberg saying we need more masculine energy in American business culture. So we need a new phrase. I would like to suggest the morbidly rich. Morbidly suggests unhealthy. And the vast riches that some of these people have is unhealthy to our democracy, particularly since 5 Republicans on the Supreme Court said that morbidly rich people can buy politicians. And it's unhealthy for them, too. So morbidly rich. There's an op-ed over at HartmannReport.com all about it. Check it out.
Santa's team's on display, but beat us here, they got something to say. Rudolph needs hay that's organic and clean, and a cruelty-free harness with a vegan sheen. Run, Rudolph, Peter's on your trail. They're checking those antlers, your diet can't fail. Run, Rudolph, no stress on that sleigh. We'll shut Santa down if you're not okay. Santa, grab
35 minutes past the hour. Oh my! So the Trump administration is still refusing to publish economic data. I mean, this is wild, right? To the best of my knowledge, this has never happened, certainly in my lifetime, where the government just says, bad numbers, we're not going to publish them. But Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve Board, the Fed chairman, yesterday held a press conference and said inflation for goods has picked up, reflecting the effects of tariffs. Right. He also said that the median projection for the unemployment rate for the end of this year is 4.5%. Labor demand has clearly softened. So there you go. I mean, inflation is up, unemployment is up, jobs are down. And what does Trump say? Well, he went to a rally in Pennsylvania and he said, you can give up certain products. You don't need $37 for your daughter. 2 or 3 is nice, but you don't need $37. House Speaker Mike Johnson is also trying to gaslight us. He said, he told the press yesterday, he said, Americans need to simply relax and wait for prices to go down. Magically, A Economist YouGov poll was released on Tuesday of this week. It found just 37% of Americans approve of Trump's handling of the economy. That's about the number of people who will tell you that they've been visited by space aliens. Actually, it's probably fewer than that with space aliens. It's probably in the 20% range. But, that's about, 37%. That's the number of people who are probably, hardcore Republicans watching Fox News all day and doing nothing else. Alex Jaquez, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Jacquez, a former Obama administration official, said the Fed cannot undo the damage created by Trump's chaos economy, and working families are heading into the holidays feeling stretched, stressed, and far from jolly. Brendan Boyle, the Democrat from Pennsylvania, who's on the ranking member of the House Budget Committee, he said, He said yesterday afternoon, after the Fed dropped the interest rates. He said today's decision shows that the Trump economy is in a sorry state and that the Federal Reserve is concerned about the weakening job market. On top of a flailing job market, the president's tariffs, his national sales tax continue to fuel inflation. And to make matters worse, extreme Republican policies, including Trump's big ugly law, are driving health care costs sharply higher. I will be talking about that in some more detail in the next hour. So what's on your mind today? Link in Whitefish, Montana. Hey, Link, what's up?
How you doing? A couple things. One, I like your morbidly rich. I'll also throw out there killer whales, because that's what you call a person who's in the stock market that's got the big influence. Those are the whales.
Yeah.
And these guys are killer whales because they really hurt people.
Yeah.
It's to the point of some people starving and dying.
Yeah.
But what I was calling about was, there's a lot of talk on your show about call your Republican representative. I think that Democrats need to be a little more strategic and play the long game. As cruel as this may sound, I would love to see those rates jump up and then the Republicans lose big in midterms so that the Democrats could come back and say, see what the Republicans did to you?
Yeah.
We've got the supermajority. We're going to fix it now.
10 of the last 11 recessions going back to Reagan occurred during Republican presidents. 10 of the last 11. The number of jobs that have been created by Democratic presidents since that time is over 50 million. The total number of jobs created by Republican presidents since that time is around 1 million. I'm astonished, Link, that most Americans don't know those statistics.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party,
it's a shame,
if the shoe was on the other foot, every American would know, because the Republicans would make sure that everybody knew how badly the Democrats had done. But the Democrats are not doing a good job of telling everybody how badly the Republicans have done, and they need to get their act together on this account.
Yeah, they need a much better job in strategy and marketing.
I think they need a new chairman for the DNC, frankly.
That's true. For example, the Social Democrats, terrible brand name, easy to be.
Democratic Socialists, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to see maybe the Equality Democrats and the Affordability Democrats.
Yeah, I like that.
We're all Democrats, and we're saying what we're doing, what we're bringing to the people, what we're bringing to the table.
Yep. Well said, Link. Well said. I'm with you. And progressive Democrats, too, yeah. Progressivism is really picking up. It's the younger people are starting to pay attention, seriously paying attention, and I think that's a marvelous thing. Link, thanks a lot for the call, and thanks for listening to us on Sirius XM there in Montana. Joe in San Antonio. Hey, Joe, what's up? How's Texas?
How you doing? I'm doing good, Tom. How you doing, man?
Fine, thanks.
All right. As always, just can't get out in front of you. You're on top of everything. Just quickly, yesterday I'm listening to NPR, and the guy was talking about how nationalism is, branching out over there. One guy is leading it from one country, and basically what they're getting at is remigrate. In other words, go back to where you came from.
Yeah, I heard that segment on NPR. I heard that yesterday morning, yeah.
All right, and you did allude to it in one of your, I don't know if it's your rants or what.
Yeah, I was talking about it yesterday.
The otherisms or that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now you look, just looking at Donald J. Trump and Vance, they're both married to aliens, right?
Yeah, to immigrants, right? Yeah. Well, no, J.D. Vance's wife's parents were immigrants. She was born here in the United States, Usha Vance.
Well, you're splitting hairs there. Immigrants are immigrants. And the message we're getting administrators, they need to go back. We don't like them. Frankly, we don't want them. Yeah. How come they can do that, but we can't? Yeah. How come they can, I just hate that. The double standard is ridiculous. And then the no tolerance Donald Trump and his people have for crime. A lady wrote a bad check 20 years ago, and now she's in jail. There's no monitor on her ankle. There's no house arrest. There's no probation.
If Republicans were serious about crime, they would not be cheering Trump when he pardons the guy who brought 500 tons of cocaine into the United States. And bragged that he was going to shove it up our
hard on crime.
noses.
We got to be hard on crime. But the one guy that we needed to jail is running the country.
Yeah.
And he has no tolerance for anybody else.
Yeah.
We missed the moment. The hypocrisy is so unimaginable.
Yeah. Merrick Garland blew it totally. Finally in his third year, he started to get his act together, but it was a real challenge. Joe, thank you. Bill in Sun City, Arizona. Hey, Bill, what's up?
Hi, Tom. For a long time we've limited things. And there are things we limit and things that we don't. I'll use a familiar thing for me is fishing. I'm limited by how many fish I can catch, when I can fish, where I can fish,
sure,
how many hooks I can put. There are limits. And on other things, there are limits. The two things we don't limit are guns and money.
Yeah, well, the Republicans don't want to limit. Yes, I get it.
Right. So what I'm saying
But they do want to limit sex. They do want to limit who you can sleep with. They do want to limit who you can marry. They do want to limit who you can adopt. They do want to
except guns and money.
Whether or not you can have a union, they want to limit that. They want whether you can have health care that's paid for by the government. There's a lot of things Republicans love to limit, but not guns and money.
Can I call for a law? I want to see Congress enact a law on morbidly captured wealth.
Yeah.
Just how much we can morbidly capture. We've ignored it for so long, so has it become uncomfortable. Well, too bad. A lot of things are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We're enduring Donald Trump. We can certainly endure. They can certainly endure what we're proposing here.
Yeah. Yeah, Bernie put a piece on social media yesterday pointing out that the three richest men in America, Zuckerberg, Bezos, and Musk, each one of them has more wealth than the bottom half of Americans. Each one of them has more than twice as much wealth as the entire bottom half.
The discussion has to start on how much is enough.
Yep, I agree, Bill. I agree. And we need a wealth tax in this country. Bill, thanks for the call. It's great to hear from you. It's 45 minutes past the hour. I'll be back with more of your calls in just a little bit here. Stay with us.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
That wouldn't be a bad thing either. We'll be right back. It's the Thom Hartmann program where we dare to ask, is Walmart a person? And we dare to say, give me a break. And welcome back. Julie in Pasadena. Hey, Julie, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. I just wanted to tell you that I really appreciate your program. It's so intelligent and dynamic, and it keeps me on my toes all the time.
Well, thank you.
And, yeah, absolutely. Anyway, you said morbidly rich. I was thinking about how about pork fatties? Everybody loves pork fat, and the more you get, the worse you are health-wise. So.
Yeah. Good point. I would stay away from the word fatties, though, because it has the edge of a slur to it. But I get your point, Julie.
Yeah. Anyway, but actually, I just wanted to say that I think that Trump is really a distraction, along with his cabinet members. I mean, there's just such an undercurrent of evil that's going on that is just so overwhelming. I can't imagine what's going on here. But actually, one of the things that I just want to mention was I watched a documentary the other day on Alzheimer's, and of course we're we don't have funding for Alzheimer's research anymore, and it's just heartbreaking.
Right. Trump killed it.
Yeah, and I watched a documentary by the Glenn Campbell family, and it's been on for a few years, but I just happened to see it the other day, and it's just
That's
very,
right. He died of
very
Alzheimer's, didn't he?
He did, and his family just did a phenomenal job of basically portraying what the Alzheimer's effect was on him, and it was very powerful. So I would suggest that people watch that.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
Anyway, that's really all I wanted to say, and thank you so much for your program.
Well, you said it very well, Julie. Thank you, and I appreciate the call. Owen in Pasadena. Hey, Owen, what's on your mind today?
Oh, hi. Let me turn off my speaker. I like that morbidly rich. That's really good.
Thank you. I've been pushing it for a couple of years. I'm waiting for anybody. Well, every now and then I'll see somebody cite it, or use that phrase. I'm waiting for Paul Krugman to do so. But anyway, back to you, Owen.
Well, I wanted to get your opinion on this. In fact, while I was listening to the show, I noticed this SAVE thing that Trump's rolled out to basically try to get people off the voter rolls. Do you think that there would be value in people registering as independent, and then they wouldn't know who's who? Maybe it would help with this redistricting thing. Maybe, it's like maybe they look at independents as possibly Republican voters,
well, no, They're mostly doing it based on race. And they do know, and income. So they know the demographics of neighborhoods, and there's no way to hide that. Also, about half our states have closed primaries. So if you register as an independent, you can't vote in the Democratic primary.
Okay, that's not good.
Yeah, it depends on the states you live in, and I don't know the situation in California. I think you have closed primaries there, though. But reality check that, because I'm not a California resident.
Okay. No. And I hate to even bring that up after Crockett made that great, speech that she's running for Senate, you know.
Yeah, and I hope she gets it. I really hope she gets it. The rumors are flying. Oh, and thank you for the call. It's great to hear from you. I appreciate your call. Thank you. We'll be right back 10 minutes before the hour. Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. Donald Trump lost, voter suppression won in 2024. That's the headline over at HartmannReport.com, and just a brilliant article written by Greg Palast exclusively for the Hartmann Report. He writes, Trump lost. That is, if all legal voters were allowed to vote, if all legal ballots were counted, Trump would have lost the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. Vice President Kamala Harris would have won the presidency with 286 electoral votes. And if not for the mass purge of voters of color, if not for the mass disqualification of provisional and mail-in ballots, if not for the new mass vigilante challenges in swing states, Harris would have gained at least another 3.5 million votes, topping Trump's popular vote tally by 1.2 million. Greg brings us the numbers. He lays it out. You can read it over at HartmannReport.com, absolutely free. It's titled, Trump Lost, Vote Suppression Won, at HartmannReport.com. Check it out.
The crown came down in silence. Not a shot or scream was heard. No breaking news, no marching boots, just a line buried in a word. 3 branches turned to tinder, and the match was struck with stealth, while billionaires bought silence and democracy was shelved. This is the final checkmate. The king stands all alone. No court, no law, no balance left, just marble turned to stone. They sold the soul of justice for a tax cut and a throne. This is the final checkmate, and the tyrant's taken home.
52 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. Picking up your calls here. Jerry in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Hey, Jerry, what's up?
Hey, Tom. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
What I wanted to chat with is I was a police officer in Canada for 30 years and still remain active through an advocacy branch. But anyway, this thing with the ICE and allowing, I've watched some things where, like New York Police Department, they see the immigrants being ground into the ground, and they come over and say, you can't do that in our precinct, and basically these people can say, oh, well, we can't do it, because in Canada, we're not allowed to do that as police officers. We have, anything like that, like the RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or federal, provincial, or state, as you call it, and city or whatever, we're all mixed together, and we don't get this sort of thing. When do you believe that the U.S. will allow themselves to get rid of all of these agencies that got independent enforcement and put it all together as one? Because I think your system would be so much better.
Yeah. Well, Canada's population-wise anyway, a much smaller nation. And,
of course.
And so there are some dynamics there to be considered. But I get your point. Jerry, the problem that we have here, and I lived in Europe for a little over a year. I lived in Germany, and the German police are also very polite and respect people's rights, even when they're catching criminals. You can do that. And as do, a lot of cops in a lot of places. I mean, there's here in Portland, the police department is actually very professional, highly professional, and they're very upset with ICE. But the problem is that much of the policing in the United States came out of the old slave patrols, and our prison systems came out of the old slave patrols and the old, the punishing the runaway slaves programs. And then, the 13th Amendment to our Constitution says that you can still hold a person literally in slavery if they have broken the law. And so we have slave labor camps that we call prisons all over the country, but mostly in former Confederate states. And that has really polluted how things are going. I mean, I went through the Georgia Police Academy. I wrote 6 novels about a private detective based out of Georgia. Only one ever got published, but and I hooked up with a friend of mine who was a private detective, and he got me into the academy, and in fact went through with me, and got my license, my gun license, all that other stuff. Had a badge, and what I discovered was that the police culture in Georgia, about a third of the people I would say that were my peers in the police academy were there for the very best reasons. They were people like you, Jerry. They wanted to do law enforcement to help people, and they were respectful. About a third of them, a second third of them, were just people who were looking for a damn job that had good pay and a reasonable pension. And the third were people who were just eager to go out and beat somebody upside the head because they were basically sadists. And that's that third, that group is the problem. And some of our police departments have done a really good job of purging themselves of those kind of folks or preventing them from becoming police officers in the first place. Again, I point to the Portland Police Department. While not perfect, is a hell of a lot better than, in Georgia. But on the other hand, you get some of these small town police departments or even some of the big city police departments, particularly down south, and they're just brutal. And ICE is and now you've got ICE with no hiring standards. I mean, they're hiring people who have horrible backgrounds. To a large extent, we don't even know because they wear masks. I mean, they're hiding their identity. Why are they doing that? Can you imagine, Jerry, if police officers in Canada started wearing masks?
Well, we, of course, when I was working in IRT and stuff like that, we did. But the only reason we did that is because we're going in to a very volatile situation. But as soon as the situation is looked after, then you pulled your mask down. I mean, when we were in the riot troop, and I was in the riot troop up here, same thing there. So, yeah, I agree with you.
Routine.
Thanks for your time, Tom. Really appreciate talking to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry, and thank you very much for the call. It's good to hear from you. We're hitting the top of the hour here. On the other side of the hour, why Miami is a bellwether for anti-Trump backlash. Is the GOP waking up? Also, what's going on with this health care vote? Let's talk about that. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
Our frontline funders, the people who step up when the stakes are highest, it's true. They've just extended the match day that we had yesterday, because the situation for independent media is that dire. So give to Free Speech TV today, and your gift is doubled. You can even get special premiums that you can't find anywhere else, like an autographed copy of the last American president. And $20 gets you the mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month lets you choose the RAM contribution option, supporting remote area medical's free clinics across the country. $144 or $12 a month gets you my book, The Last American President. $240 gets you the virtual meet and greet where we meet on a Zoom call, off the record. And $1,000 brings you an in-person meet and greet. Come here to Portland, I'll take you out to lunch. And remember, every single one of those donations is matched dollar for dollar today. Now, why did the funders extend the match? Because they see what you and I see, a media landscape collapsing under corporate pressure, dissent getting algorithmically buried, and public interest journalism being suffocated by billionaires who want us distracted, divided, and docile. Free Speech TV is one of the last places still saying the quiet parts out loud. And that only continues if you power it. This is the moment in the pledge drive when we turn the corner, but only if everybody who watches steps forward. So please, if you've been meaning to give, if you've been waiting for the right moment, this is it. Match day is make or break. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate.
The more I think the only minority destroying America is the billionaires. Trans people are 1% of the population. Muslims are 1% of the population. Undocumented people are 1% of the population. We are focused on the wrong 1%.
Our frontline funders, the people who step up when the stakes are highest, it's true. They've just extended the match day that we had yesterday, because the situation for independent media is that dire. So give to Free Speech TV today, and your gift is doubled. You can even get special premiums that you can't find anywhere else, like an autographed copy of The Last American President. And $20 gets you the mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month lets you choose the RAM contribution option, supporting remote area medical's free clinics across the country. $144 or $12 a month gets you my book, The Last American President. $240 gets you the virtual meet and greet where we meet on a Zoom call, off the record. And $1,000 brings you an in-person meet and greet. Come here to Portland, I'll take you out to lunch. And remember, every single one of those donations is matched dollar for dollar today. Now, why did the funders extend the match? Because they see what you and I see, a media landscape collapsing under corporate pressure, dissent getting algorithmically buried, and public interest journalism being suffocated by billionaires who want us distracted, divided, and docile. Free Speech TV is one of the last places still saying the quiet parts out loud. And that only continues if you power it. This is the moment in the pledge drive when we turn the corner, but only if everybody who watches steps forward. So please, if you've been meaning to give, if you've been waiting for the right moment, this is it. Match day is make or break. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate.
The more I think the only minority destroying America is the billionaires. Trans people are 1% of the population. Muslims are 1% of the population. Undocumented people are 1% of the population. We are focused on the wrong 1%. Trans people aren't taking away our health care. Muslims aren't defunding our schools. Immigrants aren't cutting taxes for themselves and their rich friends. It's the billionaires and their puppet politicians. The culture wars are a smokescreen. So many of the divisions in this state and in this country are manufactured by billionaires who want us fighting each other instead of fighting them. They want us looking left and right at our neighbors instead of looking up at them. The biggest divide in our politics is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom. The people at the top, the Elon Musks and the Rupert Murdochs of the world, they work so hard to keep us angry and divided because our unity is a threat to their wealth and their power. So their social media algorithms and their cable news networks tear us apart. They divide us by race, by gender, by culture, by religion. It's the oldest strategy in the world: divide and conquer. They want us to be afraid of immigrant moms and gay kids so that we don't notice that they are abolishing the Department of Education, gutting our health care, and cutting taxes for their donors. They want to keep us from seeing all that we have in common. They want to keep us from realizing that there is far more that unites us than divides us. Because once we do, we will come together across race, across gender, across culture, across religion, to take power back for ourselves and our communities. That's what they're afraid of. That is why Donald Trump is trying to rig the next election. He and his allies in Congress just passed the largest transfer of wealth in American history with their big, beautiful bill.
You just heard it. The forces working to consolidate power are moving fast. And that's why our frontline funders push to extend Match Day, because they know that without independent, people-powered media, the truth gets drowned out entirely. Look, this isn't just a pledge drive. It's a moment for all of us who rely on the network and who need it to remain free from corporate control to hold the line together. When you donate, you become part of the backbone that keeps the entire project standing. And the match means your gift has twice the force behind it. $25 becomes $50, $50 becomes $100, $12 monthly becomes $24 a month for the first 3 months. That's real impact. So if you haven't donated again, or yet, now is the day. Don't wait for someone else to carry this weight. It's all of us together that keep Free Speech TV alive and growing. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate. And let's meet this moment with the strength it demands.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And welcome to the third hour of our program. A lot to talk about today. You know, this election in Miami, I mentioned it yesterday, the fact that Eileen Higgins just won big, but the details are now in, the demographic details. Miami has always been, well, first of all, these mayoral elections are off year, they don't correspond to either presidential elections or even midterm elections. And so the turnout is always very, very low. I mean, you've got 500,000 more or less registered voters, and you might get 30 to 50,000 people showing up to vote. And this has always worked to the advantage of the Republicans because the right-wing Republican Cuban community in Miami always votes. I mean, they just show up in big numbers. And that's why it's been 30 years, more or less, since there was a Democrat who was a mayor of Miami. And it's been a long time since there was a mayor of Miami who wasn't Hispanic. Eileen Higgins is not Hispanic. There has never been a mayor of Miami who was a woman. She is a woman, and she's a Democrat, the first Democratic mayor, to hold office since 1997. That's almost 30 years. Not only that, she beat her opponent, her Donald Trump-backed Republican opponent, by almost 20 points. I mean, this is just massive. This is a trend. We're seeing this all over the country. And what's particularly fascinating about what happened in Miami, and I think that this might be something that should give Republicans, particularly in Florida and Texas, where you have large Hispanic populations, not necessarily, not all Cuban, obviously, but large Hispanic populations, is that in 2021, the Republicans won the mayor's race 79-12, right? 79% voted for the Republicans. And only 25,000 people showed up to vote in 2021 out of 442,000 who could have voted. This time, 36,000 ballots were cast. But the GOP candidate vote total fell from 21,000 in 2021 to just 7,000 day before yesterday on Tuesday. Despite Trump and Ron DeSantis out there, pumping for the Republican. On top of that, Higgins, the new mayor-elect, this woman who was just elected mayor of Miami, she ran on trash-talking Trump's ICE raids and trash-talking DeSantis's alligator Alcatraz, calling it, immoral and illegal and, just wrong. This is one of the things that she said. She said, "We are facing rhetoric from elected officials that is so dehumanizing and cruel, especially against immigrant populations. The residents of Miami, we're ready to be done with that." And then you get this data science Radel Nabut who's really looked into this and found that the Cuban precincts shifted 20 points to the left. And Republicans were crushed, even in Anglo areas like Coconut Grove, a very white, very Republican area. In May, now this was 5 months into the Trump presidency, but the whole ICE thing was rolling along, and alligator Alcatraz, I'm not sure exactly when it was created, if it preceded that or was then or followed it, but deportation was happening in any case. This is what this political scientist, this data scientist out of Miami says. He says, of the Venezuelans who voted for Trump in November, see, they went around and asked them, they interviewed these people. Of the Venezuelans who voted for Trump in November, often referred to as MAGAzuelans, half in the survey now say that they regret or have mixed feelings about their choice. Almost 40% of them say in the future they will vote either Democratic, Independent, or non-MAGA. Many seemed embarrassed by their original vote. Only 32% of Venezuelan respondents who voted in November admitted that they had voted for Trump, despite his getting 61% of the vote. So half the people they interviewed lied and said, no, I didn't vote for that SOB. More than 1/5 refused to say who they supported. You know why. So, kind of good news. I keep telling you, I've always been an optimist. I'm horrified by what Trump has done to America, both in his last term and this term. I'm horrified by what the GOP has done to America in the years since Reagan was elected, in the 44 years since the Reagan Revolution. And all that said, and I can give you chapter and verse of, the horrors, but all that said, I think things are going to get better. I don't think they're going to get better immediately. I think we're in for probably a rough year as Trump is twisting in the wind and getting more and more bizarre. And I mean, he goes to Pennsylvania to the Poconos. He goes to give a speech on affordability, and what does he say? You don't need $37 for your little girl. You just need $2. That's his solution to the affordability crisis? Seriously? And by the way, he said that before. I mean, he's echoing himself. Meanwhile, today, the Senate is supposed to vote on a couple of bills to address the expiration of the Affordable Care Act. And let me just very quickly here check the Washington Post and see if that vote has happened. Okay, the Democrats had put forward a bill that would have extended the Obamacare subsidies for 3 years. And that got blocked. The Republicans, the Senate blocks Democrats' bill to extend expiring Obamacare subsidies is the headline at the top of the Washington Post right now. So this happened just in the last few minutes. The chamber also blocked a Republican bill to give Americans up to $1,500 to spend on health care instead of extending the subsidies. So this is interesting. I mean, basically, nothing is happening. You had these two pieces of legislation that were promoted by John Thune, the House, or the Senate Majority Leader, and put together by Bill Cassidy and Mike Crapo, which would have given $1,000 to health savings accounts and $500 to people over 50 and under 64. Would have gotten an additional $500, and would have limited, and that just would have gone into a health savings account, which you cannot use to pay for abortions or gender-affirming care. They've got to get their right-wing crap into everything, right? So Bernie Sanders said the Crapo-Cassidy bill would, quote, make an already broken and outrageously expensive healthcare system even worse. He says it would do nothing to prevent premiums from doubling, tripling, or even quadrupling for millions of Americans. It would do nothing to lower the outrageous cost of healthcare or prescription drugs. It would do nothing to make it easier for Americans to see a doctor when they get sick. And he's right. Bernie was absolutely right, as he always is. Frankly, I mean, Bernie, on this, we started the show in 2003, and that year, Bernie started coming on every Friday and taking calls from listeners. And for 11 years thereafter, every single Friday, even on the Fridays after Thanksgiving on a couple of occasions, back when we used to do the show on those days, he would come on and take calls. I mean, Bernie is like the Energizer Bunny. And I don't know that he's ever been wrong about anything, frankly. But so anyhow, they asked Trump about this. And he said, well, I want to give the money to the people, not to the insurance companies. Some kind of extension may be necessary to get something else done. And that, I think, is the what's the metaphor? The camel's nose under the tent, the wiggle room, whatever. Here's how I think this is going to play out. Now, I'll tell you right up front, Louise, who helps organize the show every day, does a lot of the research. I mean, this is a collaborative effort, obviously, between the two of us, and, with input from Sean and Nate and the other people who work here, but it's principally Louise and I. And, we go through what we think is going to be the show the night before. We will do that this afternoon and this evening. And then we nail it down in the morning. We're up at 5 in the morning, and we go on the air at 9 Pacific time. And she's of the opinion, and I say all that by way of pointing out that Louise is no slouch, and she knows what's going on absolutely as well as I do, and maybe better. She's a really good researcher and really follows the news. She's of the opinion that the Republicans are going to shoot themselves in the foot, that they're just not going to be able to get anything done between now and the end of the year, and the premiums are going to go through the roof. And in January, people are going to see 21 to 24 million Americans are going to see their health insurance bills double or triple, and it's going to really hurt the GOP. And that's conventional wisdom. It seems to be what most people are expecting. I think that something else is going to happen, and it'll be interesting to see if I'm right or wrong. I'm not, I won't defend this to my death kind of thing. This is a theory, not it's an opinion. It's not I have no certainty of this. But there is a discharge petition in the House right now that was put together by Democrats. And discharge petitions require, 219 votes. And it apparently has the support of at least a half a dozen Republicans, which means it probably will pass the House, that will extend these subsidies for 3 years. Now, the Democrats just tried to do this in the Senate, and it got blocked. But it got blocked because there were a couple of Republican things that were coming after it, and they didn't get enough votes. They were filibustered by the Democrats, or they just didn't have enough Republican votes. I haven't read the article yet to get all the details of the nuance of it. But the bottom line, nothing happened basically today. No forward motion. So I'm thinking that probably this discharge petition will pass the House, will go to the Senate. Trump just said we may have to extend this for a while we figure this out. So Trump would sign this. And I'm guessing, or betting, guessing more than betting actually, that it's going to pass the Senate. between Democrats and a handful of Republicans that it'll pass the Senate. Now, I could be wrong. I probably am. Louise is right more often than I am. I'll tell you right up front. So we'll see. We'll see. But it's going to be real interesting the next couple of weeks here. I mean, and maybe just the next week, because I think the week after that is going to be, Christmas vacation, and everybody's gone. So keep an eye on this, because the future, the fate and future of the GOP and the Trump presidency is hanging in the balance.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
So what say you? I'll pick up your calls on the other side of the break. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Sean in Britain, South Dakota. Hey, Sean, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom. Well, I have sort of a comment on a conversation you had about almost an hour ago. But first, I want to say thank you for the information on Fannie Lou Hamer. I didn't know all of that about her, and now I have another book to put on my book list.
Oh, okay. It's an amazing book, isn't it?
Well, no, I haven't read it yet. That's why I'm thanking you, because I didn't know about it. So I'm looking forward to it. What I wanted to say about that conversation with Putin and nuclear weapons is that we can't afford to assume anything, because Putin is most certainly a narcissist, and narcissists aren't only ruled by ego but by hubris. So we just have to not make those assumptions. We just have to do what we think is right and work for the best outcome that we have, and not be cowed by fear, but just do what is right.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
I don't know how we come together as a nation to do that, but I guess we start as individuals.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, well, you said it well, Sean, and I can't disagree with you. Thank you very much for the call. It's nice to hear from you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
Dale in Fort Myers, Florida. Hey, Dale, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm
been a few weeks. The other day a caller recommended that people start looking at maps and to understand what's going on.
With regard to Venezuela,
they were referring. Yeah, and I just looked at Google Earth in Venezuela, and my first comment is, gee, I wonder where that oil tanker's headed next. You think the Koch brothers are...
Well, my understanding, and the news reports are suggesting that it was going to Iran and to be transshipped to China, but who knows? I mean, apparently this is an oil tanker that didn't have they had their transponder turned off. They didn't have it on. And so it can't be tracked by international authorities. Right. And it's been operating as part of this ghost fleet that the Iranians, the Chinese, the Russians, and the Venezuelans have been operating for a while.
Okay, well, I looked at, the news reports are that we flew F-35s deep into the Gulf of Venezuela.
That's correct, and they stayed there for more than 40 minutes, which is a clear attempt at provocation. I mean, let me just be very clear here, Dale. I'm no fan of Maduro. The guy's a thug and a criminal, and he stole the last election. But that said, that's happening all over the world, and we're not invading other countries that are doing that.
No, but what's directly south of Gulf of Venezuela? A place called Lake Maracaibo. That is where probably 3/4 of the oil reserves of the country are.
Oh,
I know that for a fact because I'm a geologist, and I actually worked in Venezuela in the early mid-'90s, and I worked with.
So you think this is all about oil, Dale?
Oh, without a doubt, it's all about oil.
There you go.
Vietnam was about oil in the South China Sea, but that was very little understood.
Are they pumping oil off the coast of Vietnam?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know that. Dale, thank you. Thank you for the information. I've got to run here. I'm sorry I'm out of time, but fascinating conversation. Look forward to future ones. Thank you, Dale. We'll be right back. Change starts with you. You can be calling your Democratic or Republican representatives to let them know what you think by calling 202-224-3121. It's the Capitol switchboard. It'll get you right through to them. So have you noticed that the Republicans are pretty much not talking about a constitutional convention anymore? They used to be gung-ho to rewrite the Constitution. You know, they wanted to put corporate personhood in there. They wanted to change it so that women can't vote. They wanted to do away with the election of senators, repeal the 17th Amendment, take us back to them being appointed by the states. They had all these weird, they wanted to outlaw labor unions, all these weird ideas, but they've stopped talking about it. I mean, they're still moving forward on it, but it's not. Project 2025, for example, you know, their ultimate talking document, does not have one single mention in it about a constitutional convention. Why would that be? Well, it's because the Supreme Court is doing their work for them. I mean, you know, just they have overturned Article 2. They've overturned the 1st, 4th, 9th, and 14th Amendments. They've overturned Article 1, Section 7. All the details of this whole thing are over at HartmannReport.com. You got to check it out.
First they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me. No one left to speak for me. If we stay silent, the darkness will spread, turning neighbor to foe, filling hearts with dread. It's our time to rise, it's our time to fight for justice, for freedom, to stand in the light.
25 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. Picking up your calls here. Keno in Lakeland, Florida. Hey, Keno, what's up?
Happy Thor's Day this week, Tom.
Well, thank you. Happy Thor's Day to you, Keno.
Boy, Thor was behind that congresswoman when she was talking to Kristi Noem, the puppy killer, wasn't it?
I
Thor
guess.
Was standing right the Holy Spirit of goodness is here to help us, Tom. And she was in Miami. She was in Miami. All right. When hope is hard to find, people can tune in to Thom Hartmann's program, and because you bring hope and you've maintained hope. And all right, now I want to talk with you. I'm talking hypotheticals. I've got an idea for a movie plot, and I want to get your reaction and your viewers' reactions. In this movie plot, the working title is 25. You know, Christmas is on the 25th. The 25th Amendment would allow a vice president to put a senile president in retirement. And Matthew 25:35, where Jesus, now you cite Matthew 25 oftentimes, but you don't throw in the 35, which is the part about heal the sick and feed the hungry, and also to monitor the law enforcement, visit people in jail, and welcome the strangers.
Yep.
Jesus said that. And so in this movie, the vice president who professes to follow Jesus, he's influenced to realize that Jesus would want Matthew 25:35 for a president of the United States to follow that. And, you know, there'll be a Hindu influence too, because his wife would have connections with Hindus, and the Hindus teach there are many paths to God, not just one path, and we can stop all religious struggle if we recognize and honor that there are many paths to God. And so in this there's narrative therapy. So this movie will be a narrative to bring healing to the United States.
I love it. But I would, you know, with regard to J.D. Vance, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's going to dump his wife for Erica Kirk. I mean, that's the rumor.
No. Well, I'm talking about a movie.
No, I get it. Yeah, no, I love the movie idea. I love it, Keno. Write the screenplay. Get started. Keno, it's always great hearing from you. Happy Thor's Day.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann program. Call 202-808-9925.
27 minutes past the hour. Back with your calls right after this. So what do you think the Republicans are going to do between now and the first of the year? Our frontline funders, you know, the people who step up when the stakes are highest, it's true. They've just extended the match day that we had yesterday, you know, because the situation for independent media is that dire. So give to Free Speech TV today, and your gift is doubled. You can even get special premiums that you can't find anywhere else, like an autographed copy of The Last American President. And $20 gets you the mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month lets you choose the RAM contribution option, supporting remote area medical's free clinics across the country. $144 or $12 a month gets you my book, The Last American President. $240 gets you the virtual meet and greet where we meet on a Zoom call, off the record. And $1,000 brings you an in-person meet and greet. Come here to Portland, I'll take you out to lunch. And remember, every single one of those donations is matched dollar for dollar today. Now, why did the funders extend the match? Because they see what you and I see, a media landscape collapsing under corporate pressure, dissent getting algorithmically buried, and public interest journalism being suffocated by billionaires who want us distracted, divided, and docile. Free Speech TV is one of the last places still saying the quiet parts out loud. And that only continues if you power it. This is the moment in the pledge drive when we turn the corner, but only if everybody who watches steps forward. So please, if you've been meaning to give, if you've been waiting for the right moment, this is it. Match day is make or break. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate.
The more I think the only minority destroying America is the billionaires. Trans people are 1% of the population. Muslims are 1% of the population. Undocumented people are 1% of the population. We are focused on the wrong 1%. Trans people aren't taking away our health care. Muslims aren't defunding our schools. Immigrants aren't cutting taxes for themselves and their rich friends. It's the billionaires and their puppet politicians. The culture wars are a smokescreen. So many of the divisions in this state and in this country are manufactured by billionaires who want us fighting each other instead of fighting them. They want us looking left and right at our neighbors instead of looking up at them. The biggest divide in our politics is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom. The people at the top, the Elon Musks and the Rupert Murdochs of the world, they work so hard to keep us angry and divided because our unity is a threat to their wealth and their power. So their social media algorithms and their cable news networks tear us apart. They divide us by race, by gender, by culture, by religion. It's the oldest strategy in the world: divide and conquer. They want us to be afraid of immigrant moms and gay kids so that we don't notice that they are abolishing the Department of Education, gutting our health care, and cutting taxes for their donors. They want to keep us from seeing all that we have in common. They want to keep us from realizing that there is far more that unites us than divides us. Because once we do, we will come together across race, across gender, across culture, across religion to take power back for ourselves and our communities. That's what they're afraid of. That is why Donald Trump is trying to rig the next election. He and his allies in Congress just passed the largest transfer of wealth in American history with their big, beautiful bill.
You just heard it. The forces working to consolidate power are moving fast. And that's why our frontline funders push to extend Match Day, because they know that without independent, people-powered media, the truth gets drowned out entirely. Look, this isn't just a pledge drive. It's a moment for all of us who rely on the network and who need it to remain free from corporate control to hold the line together. When you donate, you become part of the backbone that keeps the entire project standing. And the match means your gift has twice the force behind it. $25 becomes $50, $50 becomes $100, $12 monthly becomes $24 a month for the first 3 months. That's real impact. So if you haven't donated again, or yet, now is the day. Don't wait for someone else to carry this weight. It's all of us together that keep Free Speech TV alive and growing. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate. And let's meet this moment with the strength it demands. Help support progressive radio. If you're listening to us on a commercial station, call their advertisers and let them know you're listening. If you're listening to us on Pacifica, or one of our many nonprofit stations, please support them when they do their fundraising drives. Thanks for supporting progressive talk radio, and tag you're it. Donald Trump lost, voter suppression won in 2024. That's the headline over at HartmannReport.com, and just a brilliant article written by Greg Palast exclusively for the Hartmann Report. He writes, Trump lost. That is, if all legal voters were allowed to vote. Legal ballots were counted. Trump would have lost the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. Vice President Kamala Harris would have won the presidency with 286 electoral votes. And if not for the mass purge of voters of color, if not for the mass disqualification of provisional and mail-in ballots, if not for the new mass vigilante challenges in swing states, Harris would have gained at least another 3.5 million votes, topping Trump's popular vote tally by 1.2 million. Greg brings us the numbers. He lays it out. You can read it over at HartmannReport.com, absolutely free. It's titled Trump Lost, Vote Suppression Won at HartmannReport.com. Check it out.
The winter night is quiet and the stars are shining low. A calm across the cities and the mountains wrapped in snow. And somewhere far beyond us, hearts are dreaming just like mine. We're all reaching for the same warm light in this tender holiday time. Under one holiday sky, every soul, every heart, every cry, we are bound by the hope in the night, by the wish for a world turning right. Though we're scattered far and wide, still our dreams and our spirits align. For we're held in the glow of the love that we know under one holiday sky.
36 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. Picking up your calls here. Jonathan in Boise, Idaho. Hey, Jonathan, what's up?
Hey, happy holiday, Tom.
Back at you, Jonathan.
Since Trump blew about the sixth boat out of the water, I've been of the opinion that he was after oil. He could give a rat's patootie about drugs. It's just a convenient excuse.
No, he just pardoned a guy who brought 500 tons of cocaine into the United States. He doesn't care about drugs.
I know.
His own son is like, poster boy, Don Jr. Holy cow. I mean, it's amazing he still has a nose left. Anyhow, back to you, Jonathan.
Anyway, when he confiscated, or when they took this vote tanker, I don't believe it was headed for Iran. Iran has plenty of oil. That's like coals to Newcastle. Why would
well, I think the theory is that Iran is basically controlling this fleet. But I was wondering the same thing, Jonathan. Apparently, it's going to China.
Yeah.
At least ultimately.
China, I can believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just is going to line his own pockets with oil revenue from Venezuela.
Yeah.
That's his real motive.
Yeah, yeah.
And I agree with Dale, earlier caller Dale.
Mm-hmm.
Says the same thing, more or less.
Well, I would add one thing to that, Jonathan, and that is that there is at least one, and it's one, I believe it's the largest refinery in America, but there's maybe multiple refineries along the Gulf Coast. And at least one of them was built by the Koch brothers back in the day, and I assume that Charles Koch still owns it, although that's just an assumption. So, fact check me on that. But this refinery is designed specifically for this really heavy kind of crude that you can make into diesel and, motor oil and stuff like that. And it was designed originally for Venezuelan oil. And when the Venezuelan oil got cut off a couple of decades ago because of the sanctions during Clinton, I think it was, maybe Bush. That was when the billionaires started pushing for the pipeline to come across the United States, the Dakota Pipeline, Dakota Access Pipeline, to bring a similar kind of oil, this is the tar sands oil from Canada, down to that very same refinery. And now, my guess is that the people who own that refinery or those refineries, again, I'm not an expert on this, but, I can read the news, are leaning on Trump saying, hey, we would love to get that oil out of Venezuela. We can make a fortune off that stuff, and we've got the refinery for it. So I wouldn't discount that as being part of the motive also. And maybe these are the people that are funding Trump in a big way. I mean, this is all speculation on my part. Let me be very clear. But that's what we're doing right now, speculating.
Good-sounding speculation.
Yeah. Yeah. Jonathan, thank you. Thanks for the point you made, and well said. David in San Francisco. Hey, David, what's on your mind today?
Oh, thanks, Tom. I was interested in the piracy of the taking of the ship. But before I got to that, you were talking about the Miami electoral turnout. I'm out here in San Francisco. I've known so many of the Kennedy assassination people that the whole issue of Miami's role in the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and that they were all right-wing. Yeah, they were like right-wingers and tied with the mob and whatnot. So when I think of the Miami contingent down there, I think of the old, you remember the old phrase, there's no honor among thieves. And so when you start looking at Donald Trump's appointments and the people that the people in Miami must know some of these people that are being appointed by name, and they know not to trust them at all. So, I'm just wondering what role that has in the whole in that turnout.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Carlos Marcello was the boss of bosses, and he was based out of Miami, and he was the guy who ordered the Kennedy assassination. So, but he's been dead for a long time, but.
Oh, yeah. Well, the other thing I was going to raise, and this was, do you remember the pirates, and I thought it was Blackbeard, but it must have been a different one. He had a letter of marque and, a letter of marque and reparations. And that meant that he was actually working for the king, and that the king wanted the pirates to attack the competitors' boats.
Yeah, I think that was Blackbeard.
Well, I looked up Blackbeard, and apparently he died in a battle at the end. But and I think that it wasn't actually a letter from the king; it was a letter from another aristocrat. And apparently there was maybe the king didn't know about this letter of marque, and nobody wanted to get caught doing a fake marque. But in other words, it's very similar to indulgences, though. You remember with Martin Luther breaking free from the church, he was discussing all of the crimes that the church had committed.
Right.
And
that was at the top of his list, when he nailed that list to the church door in Coburg.
Yeah, the indulgences. So here's a letter
Selling
of marque
them.
that says that it's okay to attack ships, and then bam, Trump is going to give letters of marque essentially to the people that have worked for him to bring down the competition. So it just kind of crosses my mind that that's maybe really what is going on here, and that Trump is just issuing letters of marque.
That's interesting. Yeah, Nigel Peacock kind of touched on that with the Peacock Report this morning over on Substack, with a great picture of Trump as a pirate. Interesting. I'll have to ponder that one, David. But it makes sense. David, thanks. That's a very thoughtful comment. Appreciate it. Yeah, happy holidays. Pat in Abita Springs, Louisiana. Hey, Pat, what's up?
Hey, Tom, so good to talk to you. Yeah, you should come to Abita sometime. We have great beer. I'm in Louisiana.
Cool.
I'm 76, and I have been fighting this for 10 years with texting our congressmen who are shit.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pat. You can't use language like that on the air. I've got to drop you and apologize to anybody who might have been offended. Although I think Sean bleeped it. But 44 minutes past the hour. We'll take a quick break here, and I'll be back with more of your calls on the other side of the break. 202-808-9925. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Right back with more of your calls in just a moment. Stay with us. And welcome back. Charlie in Eagle Creek, Oregon. Hey, Charlie, what's on your mind today?
Good morning, Tom. I think this legislation that's trying to go through to extend the Obamacare subsidies is considerably too late. We've got the 15th, right, is our deadline for open enrollment. And our insurance went from $440 a month to well over $1,200.
Wow.
A month. So
your personal insurance.
That's yeah. But we're getting off the exchange because we don't have employer-based available to us. So we're left to go to the exchange.
Right.
And, without that subsidy, that's a significant hit. So I have to make the choice, not that I want to eliminate health coverage through, any health insurance. I will not have health insurance. And that decision has to be made by the 15th, right? On the 16th or the 18th, if I understand it correctly. I don't get to, let's say they do come up with a bill and extend the subsidies, I don't think I can make the call and go, I want back on my plan.
When do you have to make a payment, Charlie?
Well, I've been postponing the payment as long as I can from everything that I can see, as long as the payment itself is made before, December 31st. It looks like that's going to be okay.
Is it a single annual payment? Is that the way it's required, or can you spread it out and do it monthly?
No, they're monthly payments.
Oh, okay.
Right? But if let's say I choose to go ahead and make the $1,200 payment for January, I make it in December 31st, and then they, for whatever reason, the subsidies don't go through or it doesn't, I guess I could just say, hey, I'm done making $1,200 payments and cancel it in January or February.
Right.
Right now we're debating the choice of one of the medical sharing, through religious organizations, which I don't particularly like because there's no guarantees. It's not insurance.
There's no oversight either.
They don't do pre-existing conditions and, certain things based on health choices, which makes some sense, but, it's also, there's no policies that says we will pay, right? Like on an insurance, you don't have a pathway to fight it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they're not governed by the insurance commissioner of your state either.
Right.
In this case, Oregon.
And yeah, so the point is these decisions are being made now. So solving the legislative process in 2 weeks from now doesn't really help a lot of us, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think they're going to have to resolve it by a week from tomorrow, because that's the end of the legislative session. The following week, I'm pretty sure, I'll have to double check. I haven't looked at the congressional calendar, but typically the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's are off. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
And so, go ahead.
I think one help would be, if they also said associated with that, would be extending the deadline for the open enrollment period.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know specifically what this legislation that's got the discharge petition attached to it says. So it may or may not. I just don't know. But Charlie, thanks for the information. I appreciate it. It's nice to hear from somebody who's actually on one of these plans. Appreciate it. It's, 49 minutes past the hour. We'll be right back. Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. It's the great revenge. Trump's Orwellian America is taking shape. The key to it was this insane executive order titled Ending the Weaponization of the Federal Government. And basically what it does is it sets up the weaponization of the federal government. It proclaims that the Biden administration was, using the Justice Department to go after Trump people and Republicans, and it does it in a way that basically rationalizes they're doing the same thing. This is a absolute danger to our republic. This executive order and Trump's assertions around it, and you can read all about it. There's a whole op-ed about it, titled The Great Revenge, Trump's Orwellian America Takes Shape, over at HartmannReport.com. Get ready for the investigations, the arrests, and the show trials. HartmannReport.com. Check it out.
We laughed in the cafes. The streets were so still. The headlines were quiet. The air had a chill. They said they were moving, just cleaning the town. We turned the page over, the truth never found. We didn't know, we didn't see what they were doing to them could happen to me. We closed our eyes, we shut the door. Silence is the chain that they're waiting for. We didn't know, but we could have known more.
51 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. Picking up your calls here. Bill in Clifton, New Jersey. Hey, Bill, what's on your mind today?
Yeah, hi. I had read that the Trump administration is going to sanction the ICC.
Yeah, the International Criminal Court. Trump is talking about it. Yeah, he's afraid that he's going to be charged as a war criminal by the ICC, and so he's trying to preemptively intimidate them. I don't think it's going to work.
But we don't belong to it. How can he sanction them?
Exactly. Well, America can, we have a long reach. And we can go after the finances, and I mean, there's ways that he could make life difficult, even for Europeans. I don't know all the details of it, but I know we've done this in the past.
But he's a criminal. The president isn't a criminal. He's the criminal privately, I would say.
Yeah. No, he's not just a criminal. He's a convicted criminal. Trump has been convicted of 34 felonies that all had to do with trying to steal an election. He's been convicted 34 times of election fraud or election, election fraud.
And there's going to be more, folks, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the way things are going, and I find him just so contemptible. He just doesn't care if he gets the court. When he gets out of office, he's not going to be around very long. I think he's going to the pokey
Well, he knows that. I don't think he's going to go to the pokey because he's got the Supreme Court that's insulated him. But I do think that the guy's almost 80 and he's obese and he's clearly experiencing some mental challenges right now and he has a terrible diet. The other thing that I think is interesting, Bill, is this thing on his hand. There is a drug. There's 2 drugs out for Alzheimer's, and one of them is the main one, and it seems to be the most effective one. And it's given by infusion that's run into the back of your hand, and they do it once a month. And once a month, Donald Trump has this thing on the back of his hand, and then the way that they track the progress of this drug, whether it's actually working to reduce the Alzheimer's plaques or the disintegration of the brain, is with an MRI scan of the head. And Trump just had this MRI, and he doesn't know what it was or why or quack, quack, quack. I think that what's going on is that Trump is taking the Alzheimer's drug. And the major side effect of the Alzheimer's drug is it makes you sleepy. You literally fall asleep during the middle of the day.
Right. But if I was a reporter, I would just ask him straight out, are you sundowning right now?
What does that mean?
You know what sundowning is?
No, I don't.
People who have dementia, certain times of the day, usually evening, they go crazy. That's when they're most affected for some reason. They call them sundowners.
Yeah. Huh. I was unaware of that.
My mom went through that.
My mom died of Alzheimer's also, and it was pretty grim stuff. But yeah, Bill, I just don't know. But I do really think that it's possible that Donald Trump is taking Alzheimer's medication, and that's the question that I think they should be asking him: is are you taking? And they should get the name of the drug, and say, this drug has, it's administered by infusion in the back of the hand, and it causes sleepiness. And it's an anti-Alzheimer's drug. Is this the drug that you're on? And somebody should just ask him straight up. And of course, if a woman asks him this, he'll start calling her nasty and, telling her that she's got blood coming out of her, whatever, like he did with Mika Brzezinski. I think that's what's going on, Bill. I really do.
If he had a pimple on his butt, there would be big news.
Well, if he admitted it, and keep in mind this is a guy who's got the body of a linebacker now. He's or a quarterback actually. He's a big, healthy guy, according to his doctor. So, I'm not buying it.
For 100 years.
Yeah, there you go, Bill. I got to run. I'm sorry. The phone is just making me crazy here, echoing back at me. And I just have a few seconds left in the program, but I do want to emphasize the point that I made at the opening of the program today, that this national security strategy of the United States that Donald Trump has rolled out this week, or last week, I guess it was, and the statement that he has made to Ukraine about you've got until Christmas, and you roll all this stuff together, and it's a betrayal of this country. We are now under the Trump administration trying to get into bed with Putin, and it's just a terrible, terrible thing. And we need to be waking people up for it. And if you want more on that, I've got all the links and all the details over at hartmanreport.com. Check it out. Thanks again for being with us today. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. In the meantime, don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. It requires all of us. That includes you. So get out there, get active, tag, you're it. Have a great afternoon. Be good to yourself, to folks around you. Stay safe. And I'll catch up with you tomorrow.
You've been listening to Thom Hartmann. For audio and video archives, visit thomhartmann.com.
Our our frontline funders, you know, the people who step up when the stakes are highest, it's true. They've just extended the match day that we had yesterday, you know, because the situation for independent media is that dire. So give to Free Speech TV today, and your gift is doubled. You can even get special premiums that you can't find anywhere else, like an autographed copy of The Last American President. And $20 gets you the mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month lets you choose the RAM contribution option, supporting remote area medicals, free clinics across the country. $144 or $12 a month gets you my book, The Last American President. $240 gets you the virtual meet and greet, where we meet on a Zoom call, off the record. And $1,000 brings you an in-person meet and greet. Come here to Portland, I'll take you out to lunch. And remember, every single one of those donations is matched dollar for dollar today. Now, why did the funders extend the match? Because they see what you and I see, a media landscape collapsing under corporate pressure, dissent getting algorithmically buried, and public interest journalism being suffocated by billionaires who want us distracted, divided, and docile. Free Speech TV is one of the last places still saying the quiet parts out loud. And that only continues if you power it. This is the moment in the pledge drive when we turn the corner, but only if everybody who watches steps forward. So please, if you've been meaning to give, if you've been waiting for the right moment, this is it. Match day is make or break. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate.
The more I think the only minority destroying America is the billionaires. Trans people are 1% of the population. Muslims are 1% of the population. Undocumented people are 1% of the population. We are focused on the wrong 1%. Trans people aren't taking away our health care. Muslims aren't defunding our schools. Immigrants aren't cutting taxes for themselves and their rich friends. It's the billionaires and their puppet politicians. The culture wars are a smokescreen. So many of the divisions in this state and in this country are manufactured by billionaires who want us fighting each other instead of fighting them. They want us looking left and right at our neighbors instead of looking up at them. The biggest divide in our politics is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom. The people at the top, the Elon Musks and the Rupert Murdochs of the world, they work so hard to keep us angry and divided because our unity is a threat to their wealth and their power. So their social media algorithms and their cable news networks tear us apart. They divide us by race, by gender, by culture, by religion. It's the oldest strategy in the world: divide and conquer. They want us to be afraid of immigrant moms and gay kids so that we don't notice that they are abolishing the Department of Education, gutting our health care, and cutting taxes for their donors. They want to keep us from seeing all that we have in common. They want to keep us from realizing that there is far more that unites us than divides us. Because once we do, we will come together across race, across gender, across culture, across religion, to take power back for ourselves and our communities. That's what they're afraid of. That is why Donald Trump is trying to rig the next election. He and his allies in Congress just passed the largest transfer of wealth in American history with their big, beautiful bill.
You just heard it. The forces working to consolidate power are moving fast. And that's why our frontline funders push to extend Match Day, because they know that without independent people powered media, the truth gets drowned out entirely. Look, this isn't just a pledge drive. It's a moment for all of us who rely on the network and who need it to remain free from corporate control to hold the line together. When you donate, you become part of the backbone that keeps the entire project standing. And the match means your gift has twice the force behind it. $25 becomes $50, $50 becomes $100, $12 monthly becomes $24 a month for the first 3 months. That's real impact. So if you haven't donated again, or yet, now is the day. Don't wait for someone else to carry this weight. It's all of us together that keep Free Speech TV alive and growing. Call 877-378-8669 or visit freespeech.org/donate. And let's meet this moment with the strength it demands.